Chapter 4294. In the God Emperor realm, to be able to fight across 3 levels was a 9-star battle power. Lu Ming estimated that if he unleashed his full power now, he should be able to reach 12-star battle power. In the God Emperor realm, Lu Ming's battle power had reached the limit. He could fight across 9 levels, which was a 9-star battle power. After Lu Ming broke through to the God Emperor realm, he broke the limit. With the battle word technique in the newly comprehended sky-breaking style, he could reach 12-star battle power. 12-star battle power in the God Emperor realm was enough to fight across 4 levels. Of course, their opponents were the most ordinary beings with sporadic battle power. If the opponent also had a star-level battle power, then it would be impossible. And Gabbert's battle power was definitely more than 4-star. Lu Ming estimated that it was at least 6-star. Theoretically, when Gabbert was in the God Emperor realm, he could only fight across 4 levels. However, after he broke through to the God Emperor realm, he had a huge breakthrough in all aspects. Origin Godly Power Factor, Constitution Secret Technique, Origin Secret Technique, all of these aspects improved rapidly. They exceeded his previous limit and reached 6-star battle power. That was why Gabbert was able to enter the Universe Genius list. Not everyone could improve like Gabbert after they broke through to the God Emperor realm. In fact, most people either stayed in the same place or regressed after they broke through to the God Emperor realm. When they were in the God Emperor realm, there were many candidates for the Universe Genius list, and they could all fight across 4 levels. However, most of the candidates couldn't keep up in all aspects after they broke through to the God Emperor realm. They would become mediocre and wouldn't be able to maintain 4-star battle power. They would fall back to 3-star or even 2-star. Some prodigies would advance by leaps and bounds from 4-star to 5-star, 6-star, or even higher. Only such people could make it to the Universe Prodigy list or even make it to the Universe Prodigy list. In fact, those candidates only had the potential to make it to the Universe Genius list. However, most of them couldn't make it to the Universe Genius list. Those who could make it to the next level were the minority. That was why Gabbert had a very high status in the angel race. He wasn't someone ordinary Universe Genius list candidates could compare to. Gabbert himself had a battle prowess of 6 stars, and there was a difference of 9 stars between him and Lu Ming. Therefore there was a difference of 15 stars between Gabbert and Lu Ming. On the other hand, Lu Ming only possessed 12 stars of battle prowess, so he was naturally not a match for Gabbert. In one move, Lu Ming suffered heavy injuries. At the same time, the other angels also rushed towards Lu Ming. The weakest of those angels had the strength of the 3rd Great Supreme God layer. Most of them had the strength of the 4th Great Supreme God layer. They weren't ordinary Great Supreme Gods, they all had the strength of a star. Some had 3-star battle prowess and some even had 4-star battle prowess. These people's strength couldn't be underestimated. Lu Ming didn't dare to be careless. Using the Great Aurora art, he transformed into an aurora and shot back. In an instant he was thousands of miles away, dodging the attacks of the angels. "You can't escape," shouted Gabbert. Turning into a sword light, he charged towards Lu Ming again. The previous exchange had made him realize how terrifying Lu Ming was. There was a difference of 3 levels between them, but Lu Ming had managed to block him without dying. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too terrifying. Generally speaking, those who had just broken through to the Great Supreme God layer would find it difficult to increase their battle prowess without a period of time of consolidation. In fact, it wasn't easy for them to maintain their battle prowess. Most people would retreat. That was because the higher one's cultivation was, the easier it was to comprehend original divine power and original secret techniques. The speed at which a Great Supreme God could comprehend original secret techniques was many times faster than a Great Supreme God. After breaking through to the Great Supreme God layer, with the Great Supreme God layer as the foundation, one would advance by leaps and bounds in all aspects after cultivating for a period of time. For those who had been in the Great Supreme God layer for a period of time, even if their talent wasn't enough, but after cultivating for a long time, their original secret techniques would improve by quite a bit. As for those who had just broken through to the Great Supreme God layer, they didn't have time to consolidate their original secret techniques. Hence, their star battle prowess would be weakened. Only after a period of consolidation and cultivation would they be able to rush back up again. However, Lu Ming had just broken through to the Great Supreme God layer. Not only did his star battle prowess not weaken, but it had also increased, reaching a battle prowess of more than 10 stars. This could no longer be described as terrifying. Gabbert's heart was filled with deep fear. He had to kill Lu Ming. He had to kill Lu Ming. Gabbert roared in his heart. Pushing his battle prowess to the extreme, he charged towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had already tested Gabbert's battle prowess. How could he continue to fight with him? Greater teleportation technique. Before Gabbert arrived, Lu Ming executed the greater teleportation technique and teleported to the back, causing Gabbert's attack to miss. Stay here, Mu Yun. Gabbert roared and continued to attack Lu Ming. Gabbert, wash your neck and wait for me. It won't be long before I come and take your dog life. Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. Then he continued to execute the greater teleportation technique and teleported to the back. When the greater teleportation technique wasn't restricted, its speed was very shocking. Even if Gabbert's cultivation was 3 levels higher, he still couldn't catch up with Lu Ming. He could only watch as Lu Ming kept moving further and further away. Soon he completely disappeared from his senses. Damn it, damn it. Gabbert roared again and again, his face full of malevolence. Lu Ming was such a great enemy, but he actually let him escape. This was simply endless trouble. Young Master Gabbert, what should we do now? Another angel race Sky Pride flew over and asked. Spread the news. Tell the others in our race to inform us if they see Mu Yun. Also, spread the news that Mu Yun has come to the 2nd level world. Let others go and kill Mu Yun. The entire Heavenly Palace wants to kill Mu Yun. Let's see how he'll die. Gabbert said malevolently. As long as they killed Mu Yun, they would be crowned as the son or daughter of heaven. Countless people in the Heavenly Palace would go crazy. As long as they saw Lu Ming, they would kill Lu Ming. He didn't believe that Lu Ming could survive. Mu Yun definitely won't be able to leave the Taishang Immortal City alive. I don't have to worry too much, Gabbert comforted himself, because only then would the fear in his heart lessen. Lu Ming kept using the greater teleportation technique. After dozens of teleportations, he completely left the range of Gabbert and the others' senses. Then he stopped teleporting and flew forward. In the process of flying, the injuries he suffered quickly recovered. It didn't take long for him to fully recover. It seems like the threshold of the Universe Prodigy list is battle power like Gabbert's. I just need to break through one more level and I'll be able to challenge the Universe Prodigy list. Also, when I reach the God Emperor level, there are no restrictions on my battle power. I can integrate more secret techniques to improve the quality of my forbidden power. My star level battle power will become stronger. Lu Ming thought as he flew. Chapter 4295. Of course, now was not the time to comprehend all kinds of secret techniques. Now was the time to look for a cauldron to refine the desolate pill and improve his cultivation. It would not be too late to comprehend the secret techniques later. Lu Ming kept flying away from the area. Then he spread out his spiritual consciousness and began to search. If he wanted to get a cauldron, he had to find the elixir field first. According to the speculations of Fei Huang and the others, the 2nd level of the Taishang Immortal City was very likely a prosperous place for refining pills in the previous era. There were many pill fields here, and only in the pill fields could there be pill furnaces that could refine desolate pills. However, the elixir fields were usually hidden and difficult to find. Lu Ming flew and spread out his spiritual consciousness to search. However, after 2 days he still could not find it. At this moment, 2 figures flew past Lu Ming's side. However, after flying for a distance, they hurriedly stopped. They were 2 young men from the Heavenly Palace. They were the disciples of the big shots in the Heavenly Palace. That figure was familiar. It seemed to be Mu Yun? One of them said. That's Mu Yun. That's right. It seems like he has come to the 2nd level. Ah, our luck is here. The other young man was ecstatic. Let's go. Don't let him get away. The 2 young men increased their speed to the maximum and flew toward Lu Ming in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, they were close to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not retreat. He stood there calmly. The 2 young men were only at the 3rd layer of the Emperor God realm. Why should he retreat? Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 young men surrounded Lu Ming, one in front and one behind. Kill, kill. 2 loud shouts were heard as the 2 young men attacked without any hesitation. They were afraid that Lu Ming would be killed by them. Then the credit would go to them. They wanted to take the credit for killing Lu Ming. The 2 attacks were shockingly powerful. They came one after the other. Lu Ming had nowhere to hide. However, Lu Ming did not plan to avoid them. Lu Ming moved and 2 beams of light shot out from his body, blasting toward the 2 people in front and behind him. Boom, boom. After 2 explosions, the attacks of the 2 youths were directly defeated. Then they were sent flying back, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. 5-star combat power. No wonder he is the disciple of a big shot in the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming muttered. The battle prowess of these 2 youths was very strong, reaching 5-star battle prowess. It didn't mean that their talents were comparable to the fighting god Yuan 1. They were definitely inferior. When they were in the Divine Emperor realm, it would be difficult for them to cross 5 levels to fight. Most likely, after breaking through to the Divine Emperor realm, with the help of the resources of the Heavenly Palace and the guidance of the great figures in the Heavenly Palace, they could have such battle strength. 5 stars and the strength of the third great supreme god layer added up to 8 stars. Lu Ming's fighting strength was 12 stars. Of course they couldn't compete with him. Just now, Lu Ming hadn't used his full strength, and hadn't reached the peak of 12-star battle prowess. Otherwise the two of them wouldn't have been injured, but would have been killed directly. Lu Ming was a little surprised, but the two young men were frightened. How can he be so strong? How did he break through to the second great supreme god layer? How could he be so fast? He only had the strength of the first great supreme god layer before. Shouted the two young men from the Heavenly Palace. They couldn't believe their eyes. At first, they thought that Lu Ming had just broken through to the first great supreme god layer because he had just arrived on the second floor. Normally, after breaking through to the great supreme god layer, the battle prowess of a cultivator's star would decrease. They were all at the third emperor god realm and had 5-star fighting strength. It was more than enough to kill Lu Ming. But Lu Ming's fighting strength was beyond their expectations. If you want to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed. I'll send you to hell, said Lu Ming coldly. He waved his hand and 2 spear lights appeared, moving towards the two young men. You want to kill us? Don't even think about it, shouted the two young men furiously. At the same time, a weapon appeared in their hands. The young man in the front had a saber in his hand. The young man in the back had an axe in his hand. The two of them brandished their weapons, creating a whistling sound as they slashed at the spear light. Boom, boom. After 2 booming sounds, the 2 spear lights were actually blocked. The two young men were pushed back. Their faces were pale, but they weren't injured. Those are weapons from the Taishang Immortal City? Lu Ming's heart stirred. Weapons from the outside of the primitive universe couldn't be used here, but the weapons from the Taishang Immortal City could be used. Lu Ming had read from the information Fei Huang had given him that there were some weapons in the Taishang Immortal City. Those weapons belonged to the Taishang Immortal City. They were weapons from the previous era. Those weapons were completely different from the weapons in the primitive universe. Those weapons contained inscriptions and rules, which were completely different from those in the primitive universe. Now that the people of this era obtained it, they couldn't activate the power inside at all. However, the material of those weapons was extraordinary. They were immortal and extremely sharp. Just the material alone could unleash great power. The weapons in the hands of the two young men from the Heavenly Palace were weapons from the Taishang Immortal City. They were extremely sharp and blocked Lu Ming's attack. Not bad. I'll take these 2 weapons. Lu Ming smiled. His aura became stronger. He had activated the battle character art to increase his combat strength by 7 times. Now that the battle character art had increased his combat strength by 7 times, Lu Ming's chances of activating it had reached about 1/5. It was very high. After activating the battle character art, Lu Ming's combat strength had reached about 11 stars. Boom. Lu Ming's body was shrouded in a dazzling glow. He waved his fists continuously and the violent fist force blasted toward the two young men. Ah, your combat strength, how is that possible? The two young men screamed. They were extremely shocked and frantically waved their weapons to block the attack. However, Lu Ming had already unleashed 11 stars of combat strength. How could they block it? The fist force crushed through and the two youths exploded. Their bodies and souls were destroyed and not even their bones were left. Only 2 weapons were left floating in the air. Lu Ming waved his hand and grabbed the 2 weapons. Whoosh! Lu Ming waved the battle saber in his hand and slashed through the void, bringing about a terrifying whistling sound. How sharp! Although I can't activate the true power of these weapons, just the material and sharpness of these weapons can increase my combat strength by a lot. Lu Ming broke into a smile. In the Taishang Immortal City, besides looking for pill furnaces to refine primitive pills, many people would also look for weapons here. This was because these weapons could greatly increase one's combat strength. However, these weapons could only be used in the Taishang Immortal City and could not be taken out. Just like pill furnaces, when they left, these pill furnaces would automatically fly away. Lu Ming put away the 2 weapons and continued flying forward. However, this time Lu Ming did not fly far before he stopped. He had discovered something. Chapter 4296. Lu Ming saw a group of purple mosquitoes. Each of these mosquitoes was the size of a quail egg. They were purple and sparkling. They flew through the void and made buzzing sounds. There were at least a few hundred of them in a group. Purple pill mosquitoes. These are purple pill mosquitoes. Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. Most of the territories in the Grand Supreme Immortal City had no living creatures. According to Fei Huang's records, there were only a few types of living creatures on the second level of the Grand Supreme Immortal City. The purple pill mosquitoes were one of them. The purple pill mosquitoes were not aggressive, but they had one advantage, which was to find elixir fields. As long as there were purple pill mosquitoes, there would most likely be elixir fields in the vicinity. This was because the purple pill mosquitoes would absorb the elixir chi in the elixir fields to promote their own evolution. Therefore, Lu Ming was delighted when he saw the purple pill mosquitoes. It was very likely that elixir fields would appear in this area, and there might be elixir furnaces in the elixir fields. Buzz buzz buzz. A purple pill mosquito flapped its wings and flew toward the north. Lu Ming restrained his aura and followed behind the purple pill mosquito from afar. Hundreds of thousands of miles north of Lu Ming, there was a piece of land that was filled with crimson light. The crimson light was like water that seeped out of the ground and filled the void. Buzz buzz buzz. Large groups of purple pill mosquitoes were flying in the sky above this area, absorbing the crimson light. There were a few groups of people in the air around this area. These people were from a few powerful races in the universe. Among them, there were more than a dozen people from the World Annihilation race, which was ranked 11th on the primitive 10,000 races list. There were also more than a dozen people from the Azura race, which was ranked 12th on the primitive 10,000 races list. These two races were close to the top 10 races and were very powerful. These two races occupied two different directions. There were only two people in the other direction. However, these two people made the Azura race and the World Annihilation race extremely wary. Because these two people were divine generals from the Heavenly Palace. They were not from the Heavenly Human race but the Blood race, which was one of the top 10 races. They looked to be in their 30s and wore blood-red robes. Even their eyes were blood-red. Three groups of people occupied three different directions. They had also followed the purple pill mosquito here. Of course, they weren't the only ones who came, there were people from other races as well. However, how could those small races dare to compete with these powerful races? They had long been chased away. Swish, swish. At this moment, another group of people flew over. They were from a small tribe called the Celestial Bear Tribe. They had also followed a group of purple pill mosquitoes here. Someone else is here. How annoying. A strong man from the Azura clan said coldly as he looked at the Celestial Bear Tribe. I think that if this continues, more and more people will come. Every time someone comes, we have to take action. It's too troublesome. Let's just kill these sky bears and place their bodies around here. Let's see if anyone dares to come, hee hee. A burly man from the World Annihilation clan sneered. That makes sense. One of the two blood kindred powerhouses added. The Blood race, the World Annihilation race, and the Azura race were all known for their bloodthirsty nature. At this moment, they were all filled with murderous intent. At the same time, the people of the Sky Bear tribe also saw the powerhouses of the three great tribes. Their expressions changed immediately. Oh no, it's the Blood race, the World Annihilation race, and the Azura race. Let's go. The few burly men from the Sky Bear tribe were shocked. They naturally knew about the bloodthirsty tribes. When they saw them, they felt a chill in their hearts and immediately retreated. Since you're here, don't leave. You can only count yourselves unlucky. Kill. A blood kindred powerhouse shouted coldly. A pair of blood-red wings extended from his back. With a flap of his wings, the blood kindred powerhouse turned into a ray of blood-red light and charged toward the people of the Sky Bear tribe. At the same time, the World Annihilation race and the Azura race also charged toward the Sky Bear tribe powerhouses. Oh no. The people of the Sky Bear tribe were shocked. Everyone, we won't compete with you. We'll retreat now. A burly man from the Sky Bear tribe shouted. However, the powerhouses of the three great tribes ignored their shouts and continued to charge toward them. Poof, poof. Damn it, let's fight it out with you. Kill. Fight it out with them. The remaining people of the Sky Bear tribe roared furiously. They turned into giant sky bears and wanted to fight with their lives on the line. However, the combat power of the Sky Bear tribe powerhouses was obviously much weaker than the powerhouses of the three great tribes. Even if they wanted to fight with their lives on the line, it was useless. In less than a minute, the remaining people of the Sky Bear tribe were all killed. Then, the powerhouses of the three great tribes stabbed the bodies of the Sky Bear tribe into the ground with sharp blades to intimidate those who came later. Indeed, there were people who came later. However, when they saw the scene, their faces changed drastically and they retreated decisively. As time passed, the crimson light on the ground became more and more intense. Vaguely, one could see lines appearing on the ground. These lines intertwined with each other and formed an 8 trigrams pattern. Within the 8 trigrams pattern, one could see 3 elixir furnaces. The eyes of the people of the 3 great tribes shone with a burning light. Elixir furnaces. There were indeed elixir furnaces here, and there were 3 of them. They circulated their divine power to the maximum. As soon as the elixir field appeared, they would fight for the elixir furnaces. There are 3 elixir furnaces in the crimson elixir field. Not bad, not bad. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. The powerhouses of the Blood tribe, the Annihilation tribe, and the Shura tribe were shocked. Now there was someone who dared to come closer and was not far from them. Whoosh whoosh, many gazes turned in the direction of the voice and saw a young man walking through the air toward them. This young man was naturally Lu Ming. He had followed Purple Dam Mosquito all the way here. When he saw the 3 elixir furnaces, he was overjoyed and could not help but exclaim in admiration. This person is... When the people of the 3 great tribes saw Lu Ming, their eyes narrowed. They had all seen Lu Ming's portrait before. When they saw Lu Ming, they recognized Lu Ming. Mu Yun, it's Mu Yun. The powerhouses of the Heavenly Palace have said that as long as we kill him, we will be rewarded with the position of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. It's him, that's right. The powerhouses of the 3 great tribes exclaimed. Then their eyes shone with a burning light and greed. At this moment the ground rumbled slightly. The elixir field had completely appeared. If it had been before, the powerhouses of the 3 great tribes would have fought for the elixir furnaces with all their might. However, at this moment no one made a move. Instead, they continued to stare at Lu Ming. Kill. Suddenly, a powerhouse of the Blood tribe roared. His crimson wings flapped rapidly. He turned into a crimson light and charged towards Lu Ming. Chapter 4297. A strong cultivator from the Blood clan took the initiative to attack. The other strong cultivators all joined the fight. Die. Mu Yun's head is mine. The position of Son of Heaven, I must obtain it, shouted those people. They all used their full strength to attack Lu Ming. There were more than 20 people, all of whom were great supreme gods. The weakest one had the strength of the first great supreme god layer, and the strongest one had the strength of the 4th great supreme god layer. There were 5 cultivators of the 4th great supreme god layer. 2 from the Blood clan, 2 from the World Destroyer clan, and 1 from the Azura clan. Among them, 3 of them had the combat strength of a 4-star. 1 from the Blood clan, 1 from the Azura clan, and 1 from the World Destroyer clan. The 3 of them were the fastest. Before they arrived, their attacks were already close to Lu Ming. Compared to the cauldron, Lu Ming's head was much more important. As long as he killed Lu Ming, he would be conferred the title of Son of Heaven. What kind of opportunity was this? How could an alchemy furnace compare to this? At that time, what kind of resources couldn't they get? Therefore, everybody gave up on the cauldron and attacked Lu Ming. They all wanted to be the first one to cut off Lu Ming's head. You want to die? There was a cold glow in Lu Ming's eyes. He had fought with the Blood clan and the Azura clan before. He didn't have a good impression of those 2 clans. Now those people were attacking him as soon as they saw him. He was furious. Boom. Lu Ming's body was surrounded by dazzling lights. At the same time, the battle character formula was activated to increase his fighting strength by 7 times. In such a state, Lu Ming could unleash an 11-star combat ability. Boom boom boom. In a flash, Lu Ming threw 3 punches. The 3 streams of fist force hit the attacks of the 3 4-star experts. There were 3 consecutive booming sounds. The attacks of the 3 4-star experts were directly defeated. Lu Ming's fist force did not stop. It continued to move forward and hit them. The 3 4-star cultivators of the 4th great supreme god layer coughed up blood and retreated. On the other hand, Lu Ming's figure did not stop. He hurriedly followed up and met the other members of the 3 major clans. Kill. A cold voice rang out from Lu Ming's mouth. Dozens of ancient secret techniques appeared around him. The Great Devil Sword Art, Great God Spear Art, Great God Pagoda Art, and so on. These ancient secret skills all contained the power of the Great Art of Destruction and Great Art of Fragmentation. Dozens of ancient secret techniques were unleashed. The combat strength of these people was far inferior to the 3 4-star existences. It was even harder for them to block the attacks. These ancient secret techniques flashed, and these people were killed one after another. In a flash, more than 20 strong cultivators from the 3 clans had been killed by Lu Ming. Only 3 4-star cultivators of the 4th great supreme god layer were left. At this moment, the 3 of them stared at Lu Ming as if they had seen a ghost. Their eyes were filled with terror. With their battle prowess they were actually injured in one move. Moreover, it was under the condition that they were working together. This was too inconceivable. They were all cultivators of the fourth great supreme god layer for stars. Lu Ming only had the strength of the second great supreme god layer. They were 10 stars stronger than ordinary cultivators of the second great supreme god layer. However, Lu Ming was able to injure them in one move. In other words, Lu Ming's battle prowess was at least 11 stars. What a terrifying genius. They knew that they were no match for Lu Ming. Without the slightest hesitation they turned around and fled. However, how could Lu Ming let them escape now? Heaven-breaking style. Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. His entire body glowed as his body transformed into a long spear. He pierced through the void and charged towards that blood race expert. Those blood race experts roared. Their bodies were enveloped by a blood-colored light, and their bodies turned into huge blood-colored bats. Their blood-red wings were like 2 blood-colored blades that slashed towards Lu Ming. However, after using the heaven-breaking style, Lu Ming's battle prowess had reached 12 stars. The blood race expert couldn't withstand it at all. His spear flashed and pierced through the blood race expert's body. Then his body was torn apart by the terrifying power. From the moment Lu Ming made his move to the moment he killed the powerful figure from the Blood Clan, it only took an instant. At this moment, the 2 experts from the Azura clan and the Annihilation clan had not fled far away. Swoosh! Lu Ming turned into a spear and charged towards the Azura clan expert. Then there was no suspense. The Azura clan and the World Annihilation clan experts couldn't withstand Lu Ming's pursuit. In less than a breath, the 2 of them had been killed by Lu Ming. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming collected the interspatial rings of the experts from the 3 clans. Then he walked towards the alchemy field. At that moment, the alchemy field had completely appeared. However, Lu Ming didn't dare be careless. He concentrated and observed the surroundings. This was because according to Fei Huang's records, some alchemy fields were dangerous and had terrifying creatures guarding them. The higher the level of the alchemy field, the more dangerous it was. Alchemy fields were also divided into different levels. They were divided into the red level alchemy field, the purple level alchemy field, and the gold level alchemy field. The higher the level of the alchemy field, the higher the level of the alchemy furnace. This was the lowest level of the red level alchemy field. However, Lu Ming didn't find any danger when he walked to the side of an alchemy furnace. Keep. Lu Ming waved his hand and a force enveloped the alchemy furnace. This alchemy furnace was then kept in the interspatial ring. There was nothing unusual. Lu Ming relaxed. It seemed that this lowest level of the red level alchemy field wasn't dangerous. Then Lu Ming kept the remaining 2 alchemy furnaces. After keeping them, Lu Ming didn't stay. He immediately soared into the sky and left. A few hours later, the Great Desolation Qi here is denser than in other places. Let's give it a try here. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he landed in a valley. The Great Desolation Qi in this valley was denser than in other places. Lu Ming planned to use the alchemy furnace to condense the Great Desolation pill here. After setting up a few simple formations in the surroundings, Lu Ming waved his hand and 3 alchemy furnaces flew out. These 3 alchemy furnaces weren't big. They were about a meter tall and their diameter was only about a meter. The overall atmosphere was divided into 2 parts, the furnace cover and the furnace body. There were 9 small holes on the furnace cover. These 9 small holes were air inlets used to absorb the Great Desolation Qi. Under the furnace body there was also a small hole. This small hole was the mouth of the alchemy furnace. After the Great Desolation pill was refined, it would come out from this small hole. There were lines of runes on the alchemy furnace. This kind of alchemy furnace can be activated with any kind of power. It's quite amazing. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Then he injected the taboo power into the 3 alchemy furnaces. Immediately, the alchemy furnace was activated. The runes on it emitted a bright light. There seemed to be a powerful suction force erupting from within the alchemy furnace. The Great Desolation Qi between heaven and earth continuously gathered towards the alchemy furnace and flew in through the 9 small holes on the lid. Lu Ming withdrew the taboo power. The alchemy furnace had already been activated. There was no need to constantly inject power. It only needed to be injected after a period of time. Chapter 4298. The pill furnace began to condense the Great Desolate Pill on its own, while Lu Ming took out more than 20 storage rings. These 20 over-storage rings were naturally obtained from the 3 major races. Lu Ming checked the storage rings one by one. He only had 3 targets. One was a pill furnace, one was a great desolate pill, and one was a weapon from the Taishang Immortal City. After all, only these three things were useful to him now. As for the other miscellaneous things, he couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. It didn't take long for them to finish checking the storage rings. Lu Ming was slightly disappointed. He found 2 pill furnaces. He found a few weapons. As for the Great Desolate Pill, he didn't find a single one. Obviously, the Great Desolate Pill was a consumable item. Once others condensed it, they would refine it and use it to increase their cultivation. Naturally, there wouldn't be anything left. As for the 2 pill furnaces, they were also of the lowest level. They were about the same size as the 3 that Lu Ming had obtained, and their diameters were only 1 meter. However, it was not bad to have 2 more pill furnaces. Lu Ming activated the 2 pill furnaces and began to condense the Great Desolate Pill. Half a day later, the pills are coming out. Lu Ming's eyes moved. The 3 pill furnaces from before emitted a slight buzzing sound, and then pills flew out from the exit below. Each pill furnace had 12 pills and they were the Great Desolate Pill. Lu Ming grabbed at the air with his hand, and a suction force was generated, attracting the 36 Great Desolate Pills over, and they floated in front of Lu Ming. The Great Desolate Pill wasn't big, only the size of a finger, but it emitted a mysterious aura. Let's give it a try. Lu Ming put away the other Great Desolate Pills, leaving only one and swallowing it. As soon as the Great Desolate Pill entered his mouth, it immediately melted and turned into a pure energy that flowed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming circulated the taboo power and absorbed this energy into every cell. In almost 2 breaths of time, this energy was completely refined and turned into taboo power. Lu Ming clearly felt that his cultivation had improved a little. Although it was not much, it was very obvious. After all, Lu Ming was now in the God Emperor realm. The amount of energy he needed to raise his cultivation level was shockingly high. If he cultivated normally, he would need a very long time to accumulate energy. But after refining the Great Desolate Pill, his strength had increased a little. Even though there was still a long way to go before he could make a breakthrough, it was still no small matter. Looks like there's no need to refine the Great Desolation Pills one by one. What a waste of time. Lu Ming muttered. Then he took out the remaining 35 Great Desolation Pills and swallowed them all in one go. Not long after, he had refined all 35 Desolation Pills. Lu Ming could feel that his cultivation level had increased by a notch. After refining, Lu Ming waited quietly. Lu Ming found that the pill furnace could refine a batch of Great Desolate Pills in about half a day. A batch of Great Desolate Pills had 12 pills, so he could refine 24 pills a day. With 5 pill furnaces, he could refine 120 pills a day. In 10 days, that would be 1,200. This speed was already very fast. Lu Ming waited patiently. While waiting, he also comprehended secret techniques. He still had 15,000 ordinary secret techniques that he hadn't comprehended yet. Lu Ming comprehended ordinary secret techniques very quickly. Very quickly, a secret technique of the 9 netherworlds turned into a secret talisman and was absorbed by Lu Ming, fusing with his cells. One after another, ordinary secret techniques turned into secret talisman and fused with his cells. Lu Ming only stopped to collect the desolate elixir when the elixir was produced. Lu Ming wasn't in a hurry to refine the Great Desolation Pills. After all, refining Great Desolation Pills was very fast. It wouldn't be too late to refine them later. Lu Ming estimated that he would need at least 10,000 Great Desolation Pills to break through to the 3rd layer of the God Emperor realm. Yes, 10,000 Great Desolation Pills. Other people wouldn't need so much unless they were also heaven-defying geniuses. But he had a forbidden body. Every breakthrough required a huge amount of energy. He might as well wait until he had 10,000 Great Desolation Pills. It wouldn't be too late to refine them later. Just like that, 3 months passed. 100 days. 100 days. The 5 cauldrons had been refining day and night. Finally, 12,000 Great Desolation Pills were refined. I can start breaking through to the 3rd layer of the God Emperor realm. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. Then he took out the 12,000 Great Desolation Pills and took a deep breath. One by one, the Great Desolation Pills flew into his mouth. As soon as the pills entered Lu Ming's mouth, they turned into energy and dispersed into Lu Ming's body. Bzzz. Lu Ming revolved his forbidden energy. Every cell in his body trembled and produced a suction force. His 60 trillion cells were like 60 trillion black holes. They were crazily absorbing the energy of the Great Desolation Pills and then turning it into forbidden energy. The speed was too fast. Even though the Great Desolation Pills were very pure and easy to refine, other people's refining speed was definitely much slower than Lu Ming's. In terms of refining, Lu Ming was much faster than other people. He could save a lot of time. He had entered the second layer later than other people, so he had to race against time. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Each of Lu Ming's cells seemed to be breathing. The energy of the Great Desolation pills was unceasingly being absorbed, refined and turned into forbidden energy. Lu Ming's cultivation level was rising rapidly. He was approaching the third layer of the God Emperor realm at an astonishing speed. In just 1 hour, Lu Ming's cultivation level had reached the peak of the second layer of the God Emperor realm. At that moment, all 12,000 Great Desolation pills had been refined by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body had accumulated a huge amount of energy. "Breakthrough!" shouted Lu Ming. A thread of energy flowed out of each of his cells. 60 trillion threads of energy condensed into a vast ocean and then started to attack the bottleneck of the third layer of the God Emperor realm. That energy was too vast. The bottleneck of the third layer of the God Emperor realm couldn't stop Lu Ming's attack. Lu Ming's body shook. His chi was rising rapidly. He had broken through to the third layer of the God Emperor realm. After another hour, Lu Ming's chi gradually calmed down. That boiling energy withdrew into each of his cells and calmed down. However, Lu Ming knew that his strength had increased by more than 10 times. Indeed, the difference between each layer of the God Emperor realm was more than 10 times. Lu Ming's fighting strength had also increased dramatically. When he had been at the second layer of the God Emperor realm, Lu Ming hadn't been able to defeat Gabbard. Gabbard had the strength of the fifth layer of the God Emperor realm and had 6 stars of fighting strength. He was 15 stars higher than an ordinary cultivator of the second layer of the God Emperor realm. As for Lu Ming, he only had 12-star combat strength. There was a 3-star combat strength difference between him and Gabbard. Now, Lu Ming had broken through to the next layer of the God Emperor realm. The first layer of the God Emperor realm was equivalent to 3 stars of fighting strength. In other words, Lu Ming's fighting strength wasn't weaker than Gabbard's. In addition, during the 3 months of studying secret techniques, Lu Ming had turned many ordinary secret techniques into secret runes and merged them into his cells. The quality of his forbidden energy had increased again. Although his fighting strength hadn't reached 13 stars yet, it should have surpassed Gabbard's. Chapter 4299. The Taishang Immortal City is indeed a holy place for cultivation. No wonder people from all over the universe want to come here. Lu Ming exclaimed. The speed of cultivation here was terrifying. It had only taken him 100 days. Lu Ming had been waiting for the desolate pills. If he had enough desolate pills, Lu Ming's cultivation would have skyrocketed. He would have broken through to the top of the 9th Great Supreme God layer. It was the same for the others. If they had enough desolate pills, their cultivation would continue to rise. They would have no problem breaking through to the Great Supreme God layer. At most, they would only need to spend some time to refine the pills. But the time they would need to refine the pills would be much shorter than outside. That was cheating. No wonder Fei Huang had said that if someone of the same generation didn't come here, their cultivation would be far behind others. It would be difficult to catch up. It took me 12,000 desolate pills to break through from the 2nd Great Supreme God layer to the 3rd. Lu Ming estimated that it would take me 120,000 desolate pills to break through from the 3rd Great Supreme God layer to the 4th Great Supreme God layer. That was 10 times more than before. It would take 10 times more desolate pills to break through to the next layer. It would only get more and more terrifying. 120,000 desolate pills would take me 1,000 days to refine with these 5 cauldrons. That's close to 3 years. That's too slow. I have to get more cauldrons. Lu Ming frowned and pondered. 5 cauldrons of the lowest level couldn't refine desolate pills fast enough for Lu Ming's cultivation. He had to get more cauldrons or better ones. After making up his mind, Lu Ming waved his hand and put the cauldrons away. Then he left and continued his search for the field of alchemy. Of course, Lu Ming had another idea. Now that he had become much stronger, if someone from the Heavenly Palace wanted to attack him, he could kill them and steal their cauldrons or desolate pills. It was a good idea. It was inevitable that he would meet people from the Heavenly Palace when he was outside. Sure enough, in the next 10 days, Lu Ming encountered several groups of people from the Heavenly Palace or other races. When these people saw Lu Ming, they revealed greedy looks and directly tried to kill Lu Ming. In the end, most of them were killed by Lu Ming, who snatched their treasures. After killing several waves of people, Lu Ming obtained 2 pill furnaces, each with a diameter of 1 meter and 2,000 desolate pills. However, there was also one time when Lu Ming ran into a group of people and immediately used the greater teleportation technique to escape. That group of people was terrifyingly strong. Some of the middle-aged men of the Heavenly Human clan were enigmatic and unfathomable. They had at least the strength of the sixth great supreme god layer or even higher. Such people had cultivated for too long. They might have cultivated for hundreds of millions or billions of years, or even close to a stellar year. It was normal for their cultivation level to be high. Lu Ming was no match for such people. Naturally, it was best for him to run away. After going around in circles for more than 10 days, Lu Ming finally found something. He found a group of purple pill mosquitoes. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This group of purple pill mosquitoes was flying in a certain direction. Obviously, they had sensed the pill chi of the elixir field. Lu Ming followed behind the purple pill mosquitoes and flew all the way. After about half a day, Lu Ming found something. Lu Ming looked at the sky in the distance and was shocked. In the distant void, there were strands of purple light seeping out. Unexpectedly, the pill chi came directly from the sky, not from the ground. Moreover, it was purple pill chi. This meant that this was a purple-level elixir field. It was more advanced than the red-level elixir field. Most likely, there would be more advanced pill furnaces. There were many people around that void. Gabbert. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He saw Gabbert of the angel race in the crowd. Gabbert stood in the crowd. His eyes were cold as he stared at the void filled with purple pill chi. He did not notice Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes shifted. He did not rush out immediately. Instead, he landed on the ground and found a secret place to hide. The higher the level of the elixir field, the more dangerous it was. Moreover, there were so many people. There would definitely be a competition and an intense battle. Therefore, Lu Ming did not want to join in the fun. He would wait for the critical moment to kill his way out. As time passed, more and more people gathered. In the end, there were a few hundred people. At this moment, there were more and more purple pill mosquitoes in that void. They were flying in the void in a dense manner, absorbing the purple pill chi. Buzz. Suddenly, there was a slight vibration in the void. Then an 8 trigrams diagram appeared. The area occupied by this 8 trigrams diagram was 10 times larger than the red-level elixir field. Moreover, there were a total of 8 elixir furnaces in this 8 trigrams diagram. 7 of the elixir furnaces were 1 meter in diameter. The last elixir furnace was about 3 meters in diameter. Although the diameter was only 2 meters larger, the refining speed was at least 10 times faster. This was an even higher grade elixir furnace. Many people's eyes were burning with passion. They stared at the elixir furnaces in the middle of the field, especially the higher grade elixir furnace. This elixir furnace could refine desolate pills at 10 times the speed of a lower grade elixir furnace. Everyone's bodies were filled with dazzling light. They were ready to fight for it at any time. After a while, the elixir field completely appeared in the void. The elixir furnace is mine. This time I must get an elixir furnace. The moment the elixir field appeared, many people rushed toward it. Hundreds of people rushed toward the elixir field at their fastest speed. Of course, some people did not move. For example, Gabbert. Gabbert stood in the air. His expression was very calm. The corners of his mouth even curled up into a cold smile. Before this, he had also entered a purple-level elixir field. However, he knew that it was not that easy to enter a purple-level elixir field. The elixir furnaces in the purple-level elixir field were not that easy to get. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of people rushed into the 8 trigrams diagram. Suddenly, the 8 trigrams diagram shone. Black shadows flew out from the 8 trigrams diagram. This is a black sword centipede. Lu Ming's eyes flashed in the distance. The second level of the Grand Supreme Immortal City was empty. There were very few living beings. There were only a few types of living beings. The purple dam mosquito was one of them. It was the only living being that was not dangerous. As for the other living beings, they were all very dangerous. The black sword centipede was one of them. The black sword centipede was only the size of a palm. Its entire body was black like a small black sword. That was how it got its name. The black sword centipede was very fast. It was like a flying sword flying through the void, making a terrifying sound. Poof, poof. Blood splattered everywhere. It was accompanied by cries of agony. Someone was hit. The black sword centipede pierced through his forehead and he died on the spot. In an instant, more than 10 people were killed by the black sword centipede. Be careful. Damn it. It's the legendary black sword centipede. Kill them. Angry roars were heard. The people did not care about fighting for the elixir furnaces. They attacked the black sword centipede with all kinds of attacks. Chapter 4300. The crowd didn't have time to fight for the cauldron. They attacked the centipedes with all kinds of attacks. There were a lot of them, at least a few thousand of them. They turned into thousands of sword lights and danced in the air. They were too fast. If they couldn't get rid of the centipedes first, they wouldn't be able to get the cauldron. In an instant, hundreds of attacks bombarded the hundreds of centipedes. These people were all great supreme gods. Most of them were above the second layer of the great supreme god realm. Their attacks were terrifying. If they were in the primitive universe, it would be easy for them to destroy stars. However, when such an attack landed on the bodies of the black sword centipedes, it only produced clanging sounds. The black sword centipedes were sent flying, but they were not harmed in the slightest. Only a few of the most powerful beings were able to blast the black sword centipedes apart. Most of the centipedes were unharmed. So hard. How is that possible? Their small bodies are even harder than great supreme divine weapons? Many people sucked in a breath of cold air and were slightly stunned. The shock was going to cost them their lives. The remaining centipedes didn't stop attacking. They turned into sword lights and pierced through the centipedes. This time, at least a few dozen of the weaker ones were killed. In addition, a few dozen of them were seriously injured. They tried their best to fight back, but they still couldn't hurt the centipedes. "I'll kill you." A red-skinned strong man took out a battle sword and slashed with all his strength. Poof. This time, when the saber landed on the black sword centipede's body, it actually managed to cut the centipede in half. It's useful? The weapons of the Taishang Immortal City are useful against the centipedes. The red-skinned brawny man shouted excitedly. The others were also delighted. "Quick, use the weapons of the Taishang Immortal City to kill these centipedes," someone shouted. Those who had weapons of the Taishang Immortal City took out their weapons and attacked the centipedes. As expected, the weapons of the Taishang Immortal City were extremely sharp. They could easily cut the centipede's shells and kill them. With the weapons of the Taishang Immortal City, the creatures of the various races finally gained the upper hand. More and more black sword centipedes were killed. However, not everyone had a weapon from the Zenith Immortal City. In fact, only 1/10 of the hundreds of people had a weapon from the Zenith Immortal City. As for the other living beings who didn't have the weapons of the Supreme Immortal City, unless they were strong in battle, they were constantly being killed. In the end, when most of the black sword centipedes were killed, nearly 100 people had been killed by the black sword centipedes. The remaining people once again rushed towards the pill furnace in a frenzy. Everyone wanted to obtain the pill furnace. A chaotic battle broke out. The battle was incomparably intense. At the same time, people were constantly being killed. In the end, several of the most powerful existences approached the pill furnaces. However, at this time, Gabbard moved. 12 pure white wings extended from his back, and his entire body was covered in pure white holy light. With a swoosh, he rushed toward the 8 trigrams furnace. "Get out of my way!" Gabbard coldly shouted. The holy light condensed into a few angelic swords and swept them out. Several living beings who blocked in front of Gabbard were directly cut into two by the angelic swords. The destructive power even destroyed their souls, killing them on the spot. Boom. Gabbard was like a pure white shooting star rushing forward. Anyone who blocked in front of him was killed. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air and hurriedly dodged. Gabbard flashed a few times and approached the largest pill furnace. "All of you get out of my way. Otherwise die," Gabbard coldly said. "Gabbard, others may be afraid of you, but I'm not." A tall and sturdy man from the Battle Saint tribe waved his spear and attacked Gabbard. At the same time, another powerful being from the Blood Kindred made his move as well, charging towards Gilbert. These people were the strongest ones in the chaotic battle earlier. They were also the ones who were closest to the pill furnaces. They were all from the top 10 tribes and weren't from the younger generation. They were all in the prime of their lives and had cultivated for a long time. Their cultivation bases were high and their secret arts were powerful. They weren't afraid of Gabbard at all. "Courting death. Angel King's sword," Gabbard coldly shouted. His hands grasped the air as a pure white sword condensed, exuding the aura of a king. Swish, the Angel King's sword slashed out horizontally, colliding with the attacks of the experts from the Battle Saint tribe and the Blood race. The attacks of the experts from the Battle Saint tribe and the Blood race couldn't even withstand a single strike. They were directly broken apart by the Angel King's sword. With a flash of sword light, the bodies of the two experts were directly slashed apart. A destructive power erupted from their bodies, causing them to explode into pieces. The souls of the two experts didn't even manage to escape and were directly destroyed. CSS. The gasps could be heard from the surroundings as they all looked at Gabbard in shock. Those two strong cultivators had the strength of the 5th Great Supreme God layer, and they were extremely strong. They had the strength of at least 3 stars, but they hadn't even been able to block one of Gilbert's attacks and had been killed instantly. Was this the battle strength of the geniuses on the Universe Prodigy list? It was too terrifying. Although the geniuses on the Universe Prodigy list were powerful and famous in the primitive universe, very few people had actually seen them in action before. At this moment, Gabbert's battle strength was shocking. Gabbert's battle strength could only be ranked at the bottom of the Universe Prodigy list. Then, how strong were the geniuses above him? Everyone's respect for the battle strength of the geniuses on the Universe Prodigy list increased. If you don't want to die, scram? Gabbert's eyes swept across the crowd, filled with cold, killing intent. Gabbert, there are 8 pill furnaces here. Do you want to monopolize them? Someone shouted. Yes, I want to monopolize them. So what? Gabbert sneered. He wanted all 8 pill furnaces no matter how big or small they were. Gabbert, don't be too overbearing. You can take the big one but you can't take the small ones. There are so many of us. We can't let this trip be in vain. You can take the big one and we can take the small ones. Otherwise we won't be afraid of you. Someone shouted. A bunch of trash. You want to compete with me? You don't know what's good for you, Gabbert said coldly. His 12 wings flapped, and he turned into a beam of white light, rushing toward the crowd. The sword light was so bright that many people couldn't open their eyes. Then, blood splattered everywhere and the heads of 3 figures flew far away. Their eyes were wide open and they died with grievances. These 3 figures were the ones who had spoken before. Who wants the pill furnaces? Come up and tell me. Gabbert continued to speak, his cold eyes sweeping across the crowd. Everyone who was swept by his gaze shuddered, and a chill ran down their spines. Gabbert's battle strength was too strong. Although they had the advantage in numbers, most of them were no match for Gabbert. They would be killed. They were extremely unwilling, but there was nothing they could do. Gabbert, you're so impressive. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Chapter 4301. A cold voice sounded. Then a figure stepped through the air and arrived. It was a young man in a black robe. He was burly and his long hair danced in the wind. He looked demonic. Wuxia, Gabbert said coldly. It's Wuxia, the top demon of the Demon Master. Some people recognized Wuxia as well. Wuxia is one of the geniuses closest to the Universe Prodigy list. His strength is unfathomable. Rumor has it that he has always wanted to challenge Gabbert. Is he going to challenge Gabbert this time? It's possible. First, he can replace Gabbert. Second, he can take the cauldron. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Everyone was discussing fervently. Wuxia stepped through the air and no one dared to stop him. He came to the top of the 8 trigrams diagram and stood opposite Gabbert. Wuxia, you want the cauldron? I've already said that you're courting death, Gabbert said coldly. Even in front of Wuxia he was still domineering. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the strength, Gabbert. Today I'll step on your corpse and officially enter the Universe Prodigy list. Wuxia shouted and his hair danced in the wind. His demonic aura soared into the sky. In the next moment, Wuxia struck out with both his palms. 2 pitch-black palm prints blasted out towards Gilbert. Petty tricks, Gabbert said coldly. He formed the Angel King sword and slashed horizontally, destroying the 2 black palm prints. At the same time, Wuxia stepped forward and rushed toward Gabbert. His body was covered in black demonic aura, and his skin was covered in dense black bone spikes. He looked like a demon. Legend had it that the demon race was related to the demon race. Tracing back to the origin, the bloodlines of the 2 were similar. Wuxia's fists were covered in bone spikes. They were extremely sharp, as if they could pierce through anything. Wuxia's fists continued to attack Gabbert, bringing with them a terrifying whistling sound. Gabbert's face turned serious. He waved the Angel King sword and fought with Wuxia. Boom, boom. The 2 of them clashed continuously, and in an instant they had exchanged dozens of blows. After exchanging dozens of blows, there was still no clear victor. Wuxia was strong too. He had the same cultivation level as Gabbert. They both had the strength of the 5th Great Supreme God layer. He wasn't weak either. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been one of the candidates for the Universe Young Geniuses list. Demonic hero, is this all you've got? You want to be on the Universe Genius list with this kind of power? What a joke. At this moment, Gabbert spoke again, his voice full of mockery. Shut up. Demon King bloodline activate. Wuxia roared. At this moment, his eyes turned blood red and a violent aura rushed out of his body. Dense black scales appeared on his skin. Wuxia went all out and used his trump card, causing his battle prowess to reach its peak. Boom. He punched out again, sending Gabbert flying backward. Amazing. Emojia's battle prowess is amazing. His battle prowess has reached the level of 5 stars. It's definitely a 5-star battle prowess. Even among the 5-star battle prowess, he's considered strong. The surrounding people discussed in astonishment. Among the younger generation, there were very few who had reached the level of 5 stars. Gabbert die. Emojia roared, his eyes full of ferocious killing intent. He continued to attack Gabbert. Is this all you've got? Then I'll send you to hell. At this moment, Gabbert didn't panic. He only had cold killing intent. The Angel King sword in his hand disappeared and was replaced by a strange aura. Secret technique Holy Light Trial. A cold voice came from Gabbert's mouth. A huge cross appeared above his head. The cross emitted dazzling rays of light. It was incomparably huge and it was completely formed by holy light. It pressed down on Emojia. This was Gabbert's origin secret technique and it was extremely powerful. With a boom, the cross and Emojia's armor collided, erupting into dazzling rays of light. The entire area was drowned in pure white holy light. Then a figure flew backward and crashed to the ground. It was Emojia. This time, Emojia was finally defeated. He was no match for Gabbert. He smashed a huge hole in the ground and spat out blood. A mere 5-star battle prowess dares to be presumptuous in front of me? You overestimate yourself. A disdainful voice came from Gabbert's mouth. He was in a superior position, looking down on Emojia as if he was looking at a defeated opponent. You have a 6-star battle prowess? Emojia roared in disbelief. Otherwise, how could I be ranked on the Universe Genius list? Let me tell you, with your talent, you'll never be able to be ranked on the Universe Genius list. So, let me send you to hell. Gabbert said coldly. He was covered in pure white holy light as he walked toward Gabbert step by step. Although the 8 furnaces were still there, no one dared to snatch them. Gabbert's reputation was too great. No one wanted to throw their lives away. Gabbert, you. Emojia was shocked. He wanted to run away, but unfortunately, he had already been severely injured by Gabbert. He couldn't run away at all. Gabbert caught up to Emojia in a few moments, and his attacks were like a torrential storm as they blasted towards Emojia. In the end, he killed Emojia in midair. A person who had the potential to be ranked on the Universe Genius list was killed just like that. After killing Emojia, Gabbert returned to the pill field. He made his way to the largest cauldron. No one dared to stop him. No one dared to snatch it. With these furnaces, I believe it won't be long before I can condense enough desolate pills to help me break through to the 6th level of the Great Supreme God realm. Gabbert's eyes were burning. He already had the strength of the top of the 5th Great Supreme God layer, but to break through from the 5th to the 6th Great Supreme God layer, he needed a lot of desolate pills. He couldn't gather them in just a few months. He needed more furnaces. With these 8 furnaces, he would be able to condense desolate pills much faster. He believed it wouldn't be long before he had enough desolate pills to break through to the 6th Great Supreme God layer. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the 3-meter-wide furnace. He wanted to put it in his spatial ring. However, at that moment, his hair stood on end. He sensed danger. At the same time, a whistling sound came from above. Someone was attacking his head. Almost subconsciously, Gabbert hurriedly retreated and shouted, "Who is it? You want to die?" Gabbert was furious. Someone dared to attack him at such a time? That person was courting death. "Gabbert, we haven't seen each other in such a short time. Don't you recognize me?" said a clear voice. A silhouette suddenly appeared above Gabbert's head. "Mu Yun," shouted Gabbert. He couldn't believe it. Chapter 4302. Gabbert couldn't believe it. He hadn't thought that Lu Ming would take the initiative to appear in front of him. A few months ago he had easily injured Lu Ming and forced him to run away. Now he had dared to appear in front of him. Was he looking for death? Gabbert narrowed his eyes and carefully observed Lu Ming. His pupils shrank. 3rd Great Supreme God layer. He realized that Lu Ming had already broken through to the 3rd Great Supreme God layer. No wonder he had dared to appear in front of him. He had already broken through. "You think you can compete with me just because you've broken through? Ridiculous." Gabbert sneered. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The pure white light around him was incomparably dense. "That's Mu Yun. It's really Mu Yun. It's him. Kill him. Kill him and I'll be the son of heaven." Many people revealed greedy looks as they stared fixedly at Lu Ming. Kill. Suddenly many people moved and crazily rushed towards Lu Ming. They had already been blinded by the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. They didn't even think about why Lu Ming had dared to appear. They only knew that as long as they killed Lu Ming, they would become the son of heaven. At the same time, Gabbard also moved. The Angel King's sword condensed again. He used the sword to move his body and slash towards Lu Ming. Gabbard was closer to Lu Ming to begin with, and his speed was too fast. He was much faster than the rest. In an instant, the sword gleam neared Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming also attacked. The multicolored light was burning like a flame. He threw a punch. A boundless fist energy containing all kinds of ancient secret skills bombarded Gabbard. It collided with Gabbard's Angel King sword. The two collided and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Thousands of waves of energy were released. Boom. An earth-shattering explosion sounded. The Angel King sword directly exploded. Gabbard's body was violently pushed back. Lu Ming's body didn't move at all. What? Those who were charging towards Lu Ming had their eyes wide open. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief, as if they had seen something out of a fantasy story. Lu Ming had actually forced Gabbard back with a single punch. They had clearly seen how strong Gabbard was. And Lu Ming was able to push Gabbard back with a single punch. Didn't that mean that Lu Ming's combat strength was even stronger than Gabbard's? It was as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over them, causing many of them to shudder. A chilling sensation rose from their hearts. Was this battle prowess something they could fight against? Wouldn't rushing forward be courting death? Immediately, the flames of greed in their hearts were completely extinguished. What was left was only fear. Stop. Stop for me. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Everyone roared in their hearts and desperately urged their divine power to slow down their bodies. Then they stopped and frantically retreated. Originally, there were close to 200 people charging towards Lu Ming. At this moment, these 200 people were frantically retreating. Lu Ming was too lazy to pay attention to these people. His gaze had always been on Gabbard. Gabbard, use all of your power. Today the 1,000-year agreement between you and me will be resolved. Lu Ming said coldly. Mu Yun, don't even think about defeating me. Today will be the day of your death. Gabbard roared. His long hair fluttered and holy light soared into the sky. Secret technique, holy light judgment. Gabbard roared. A cross condensed from holy light appeared above his head. This was Gabbard's origin source secret technique. Previously he had also used this move to defeat and kill Wuxia. Boom. The cross was as white as snow and emitted holy light. However, it possessed the power of judgment and could judge all living things. It was said that all living things would be turned into ashes under the judgment. After using the light of judgment, Gabbard's combat strength had reached 6 stars. Sky-breaking form. Lu Ming whispered and used the sky-breaking form. His entire body turned into a spear light and rushed towards Gabbard, colliding with the Holy Cross. Similarly, there was a loud explosion, but it was more intense than the previous time. Then a figure frantically retreated. This time, not only did he retreat, but he was also injured and spurted blood from his mouth. It was still Gabbard. Even if he used the Holy Light Judgment, it was useless as it was suppressed by Lu Ming's sky-breaking form. What? This scene caused the spectators to be even more shocked. Previously, Gabbard used the Holy Light Judgment to successfully defeat and kill Wuxia. However, he was no match for Lu Ming now. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. Gabbard, is this your highest combat strength? Then I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming said coldly and stepped out. His body once again turned into a ray of light and rushed towards Gabbard. He wanted to kill Gabbard in one fell swoop. Want to kill me? No way. Holy Light Judgment. Gabbard roared. His eyes were blood red. In an instant, the feathers on the 12 wings on his back turned blood red. A blood-red long sword appeared above Gabbard's head. It formed a sharp contrast with the white cross. Another origin secret technique. This Gabbard has mastered 2 origin secret techniques. 1 divine power and 2 origin secret techniques. How rare. No wonder he's a genius on the universe prodigy list. Even Lu Ming could not help but exclaim. Clearly, Gilbert didn't master 2 origin secret techniques because he cultivated 2 types of divine power. He only cultivated 1 type of divine power. 1 type of divine power could actually cultivate 2 origin secret techniques. This was very rare. And the power would also be very powerful. It was much more powerful than controlling 2 types of divine power to cultivate 2 origin secret techniques. Around them, the others could not help but widen their eyes in disbelief. Gabbard still had a trump card? Kill? Gabbard roared. The Holy Light Cross and the Judgment Sword blasted towards Lu Ming at the same time. Come on. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. An even stronger force surged out of his body. Battle Formula: Sevenfold Combat Strength. Previously he only used the battle formula to increase his combat strength by sixfold. Now this was Lu Ming's peak combat strength. He used the sky-splitting form again. His body transformed into a long spear and rushed towards Gabbert. Heaven and earth were drowned in dazzling light. Everyone could only see a spear, a cross of holy light, and a blood-red sword constantly clashing and killing each other. In an instant the two of them exchanged more than a dozen moves, but there was no clear winner. It had to be said that Gabbert's combat strength exceeded Lu Ming's expectations. He was stronger than he had imagined. Although he did not reach 7-star combat strength, he had reached the peak of 6-star combat strength. If Lu Ming had not comprehended some ordinary secret techniques during this period of time and improved the quality of the forbidden technique, he would not have been Gabbert's opponent. In this way the two of them were evenly matched. In the blink of an eye they had exchanged more than 100 moves. However, after 100 moves, Lu Ming began to gradually gain the upper hand. This was because he was getting more and more familiar with the sky-splitting form. Chapter 4303. After all, Lu Ming's Sky Splitter had just been created, so he wasn't very familiar with it. It wasn't perfect and its power hadn't reached perfection. And now, in the fierce battle with Gabbert, the Sky Splitter had become more and more perfect. Lu Ming had become more familiar with it and its power had become stronger. Naturally, he had suppressed Gabbert and gained the upper hand. How is this possible? How is this possible? Gilbert roared in his heart and his eyes were bloodshot. He couldn't believe it and couldn't accept it. He had always considered himself a genius. Although he was ranked at the bottom of the universe prodigy list, he had been holding back and hadn't fought for a long time. Not long ago he had comprehended a second secret technique, and his combat power had become stronger. His confidence had increased greatly. He had planned to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat in the Grand Supreme Immortal City and rush to a higher rank on the universe prodigy list. But now he was suppressed by Lu Ming even though his cultivation was 2 levels higher. This was a great blow to his confidence. He was 2 levels higher and he was still suppressed by Lu Ming. If they were at the same level, wouldn't he be killed by Lu Ming in one move? What right did he have to be Lu Ming's opponent? Thinking of this, he was extremely furious. When he was furious, he would lose his composure, and when he lost his composure, he would reveal his flaws. And Lu Ming's combat experience was so rich that he could accurately grasp any minute flaw. There's a flaw, kill? Lu Ming shouted, and his body split into thousands and burst out like a beam of light, piercing toward Gabbert. Poof! This time, Gabbert couldn't block it. He screamed and retreated. His chest was pierced by the spear light and there was a hole in it. The destructive power in the spear light attacked his body, trying to destroy his body and even his soul. Suppress it! Gabbert roared and unleashed all his power. His entire body was shrouded in layers of holy light, forcibly blocking the impact of the destructive power and forcing it out. But the result was that his injuries worsened. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and his face was pale. His eyes finally revealed a look of horror, and he frantically retreated. Gabbert, let's end this. Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. He used the Great Aurora technique and in a flash he chased after Gabbert. Then he used the Sky Splitter form and his body turned into a long spear, piercing out. The heaven-cleaving style was created based on the secret skills that Lu Ming had mastered in the past. Therefore there were some shadows of secret skills in it, such as the Great Aurora skill. When Lu forms this splitter, it was like the Great Aurora technique speed. He wanted to block Lu Ming's attack. Aurora. 2 Aurorat, T-Aura's Aurora been hit. Unfortunately, Gabbert was already injured, and his combat strength was not as good as before. How could he block Lu Ming's attack? When the two attacks collided, the cross and blood-colored sword shook violently. Fine cracks appeared on them and then they exploded. Gabbert spat out mouthfuls of blood, and his body frantically retreated. His injuries had worsened. However, Lu Ming's attack did not stop. The spear light rose again and once again stabbed at Gabbert. This time, Gabbert could no longer resist. He knew very well how much strength he had left. If he forcefully resisted, he would definitely be killed. Mu Yun, you'd better remember this. I will definitely avenge you. Gabbert roared, and a sinister look appeared in his eyes. Then 6 of the 12 wings on his back broke. The 6 broken wings burst out with dazzling holy light, like pure white flames, burning fiercely. Blood kept flowing out of Gabbert's 6 broken wings, but he could no longer care. The 6 broken wings enveloped him, and then Gabbert's body turned into a ray of light, breaking through the air and flying into the distance. His speed was astonishingly fast. Lu Ming's attack missed. Lu Ming frowned. Without hesitation he used greater teleportation and chased after Gabbert. However, Lu Ming helplessly discovered that his teleportation speed was not as fast as Gabbert's. Gabbert's figure disappeared in front of Lu Ming's eyes in the blink of an eye, and disappeared from Lu Ming's senses. Lu Ming stopped and did not continue to pursue. He knew that even if he chased he would not be able to catch up. Gabbert was very decisive. He actually broke his wings to escape. 6 of his angelic wings were broken to help him escape. As everyone knew, the wings of the angels were the core of their strength. The more wings an angel had, the stronger their talent. Once their wings were broken, it would be a huge blow to them. If it was light, their cultivation would regress and their talent would decrease. If it was heavy, they would die. In order to save his life, Gabbert had no choice but to break 6 of his wings to escape. He was also a ruthless person. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. As soon as he stopped, he continued to use greater teleportation and returned to the original place. The pill furnace was still there. He continuously teleported several times to chase after Gabbert and then teleported back. In total it took less than a breath. The others did not react and were still in shock. Gabbert was actually defeated by Lu Ming and fled with his wings broken. This was definitely a piece of heavy news. It made everyone's heart beat wildly and they could not calm down. Swish. Lu Ming's figure reappeared in the sky above the 8 trigrams, then he landed and walked towards the pill furnace. No one dared to stop him and no one dared to snatch it. Lu Ming waved his hand and used a force. The 8 pill furnaces flew towards Lu Ming one by one and were put into Lu Ming's storage ring. Let's go. At this time, the surrounding people finally came to their senses and wanted to escape. Did I allow you to leave? Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. His figure moved and disappeared from the original place. In the next moment he appeared above everyone's heads. Everyone's face turned pale. Mu Yun, what are you trying to do? Someone said with a trace of fear in his eyes. Previously they wanted to attack Lu Ming, but now they were afraid that Lu Ming would take revenge, so they left them behind. With Lu Ming's combat strength, even if they joined forces, they would not be a match for Lu Ming and would be killed. You wanted to kill me before and now you want to leave just like that. How can there be such a good thing without paying a price? Lu Ming sneered. What price do you want us to pay? If you want to kill us, I'd rather fight to the death. Someone shouted, looking as if he was facing death with equanimity. I don't want your lives. Hand over the desolation pills or pill furnaces on your bodies. If you don't hand them over, I'll really take your lives. Lu Ming said. What? Mu Yun, you're simply insatiable. Someone roared. Lu Ming had clearly just obtained 8 pill furnaces, and now he was actually thinking about their pill furnaces. He was even greedier than Gabbert. Chapter 4304. Oh, it seems that you must have a pill furnace or a desolation pill on you? Lu Ming looked at the burly man who had the most intense reaction. Because when Lu Ming asked these people to hand over their pill furnaces and desolation pills, the burly man shouted as if his tail had been stepped on. Obviously something was wrong. Sure enough, after being questioned by Lu Ming, the burly man's face turned pale and he looked very ugly. No, I don't. You misunderstood. The burly man hurriedly explained. Whether you have it or not, I'll know once I check your storage ring. Lu Ming said and stepped forward towards the burly man. Seeing Lu Ming step forward, the burly man gritted his teeth, turned into a rainbow light, and flew into the distance trying to escape. However, he was not Gabbert. Even if he tried his best, it was useless in front of Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure flashed and caught up to the burly man. He threw a punch and a vast fist force crushed down. Although the burly man wanted to resist, it was useless. Under the fist force he turned into ashes. A storage ring was caught in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming checked it without hesitation. After a while, a trace of joy appeared on his face. There was indeed a pill furnace in the burly man's storage ring. It was about 1 meter in diameter. Lu Ming put it away without hesitation. It's your turn. Lu Ming's gaze turned to the others. Mu Yun, I don't have a pill furnace or a desolation pill on me. I don't have one either. Many people shouted. I'll check whether you have one or not. Hand over your storage rings and let me check. Lu Ming said coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Previously these people wanted to kill him. He was already being lenient by not killing them. So what if they took some pill furnaces and desolation pills? Due to Lu Ming's demonic might, these people did not dare to disobey and could only obediently do as they were told. Lu Ming checked them one by one. He only scanned the pill furnaces and desolation pills very quickly. Before long Lu Ming had checked them all. In the end Lu Ming was somewhat disappointed. He found a total of 2 pill furnaces. Including the one that escaped before, there were a total of 3. As for the desolation pills, he only managed to find 3,000 of them. In fact, thinking about it, it was normal. These people's battle strength was not high. If they wanted to snatch the pill furnace, it would be very difficult. Unless they were lucky and encountered a place where no one wanted to snatch it, it would be very difficult to obtain the pill furnace. Lu Ming calculated that he had a total of 18 pill furnaces on him. The 17 smaller ones were about 1 meter in diameter. A large one with a diameter of about 3 meters. This was already a pretty good harvest. Mian, I have news for you. At this time, a young man flew in front of Lu Ming and said to Lu Ming, "What news?" Lu Ming asked curiously. Everyone else had already left, but this person was still here and wanted to tell him the news. Judging from the aura of life origin, this person should be a member of the demon race. If you want alchemy furnaces, I know a place with alchemy furnaces and there are quite a few of them. The young man from the demon race said. A place with alchemy furnaces? Ehe, do you think I'm stupid? If there is, why don't you go and tell me? Lu Ming sneered, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. The young demon's face turned slightly pale and he hurriedly said, "The alchemy furnaces I'm talking about belong to Gabbert. There are powerhouses of the angel race guarding them. I definitely can't snatch them." Gabbert's? Lu Ming whispered. That's right. Gabbert obtained a lot of alchemy furnaces before, but he didn't bring them with him because they wouldn't condense alchemy furnaces. Gabbert gave his alchemy furnaces to some of his subordinates of the angel race to guard a place with rich desolation chi. They are constantly condensing desolation pills. In this way, the alchemy furnaces will not be empty and can be used effectively to produce desolation pills. Gabbert will give some of these desolation pills to the people guarding the alchemy furnaces, and most of them will go into Gabbert's pocket. The young demon said. Lu Ming said softly. In fact, he already believed it in his heart. Previously, Gabbert had killed the genius of the devil race, and this young demon was a member of the devil race. It was normal for him to tell Gabbert where the alchemy furnaces were hidden because they had a grudge against each other. Moreover, it made sense that Gabbert didn't bring the alchemy furnaces with him because they wouldn't be able to condense desolation pills. Lu Ming was alone, so he had no choice but to bring the alchemy furnaces with him at all times. Tell me, where is Gabbert's alchemy furnaces? Lu Ming asked. Here? Immediately the young demon told Lu Ming the address in detail and then left. After the young demon left, Lu Ming took out a storage ring. This storage ring belonged to Gabbert. Lu Ming checked it carefully. There were other storage rings in the storage ring, and one of them belonged to Wuxia. However, to Lu Ming's disappointment, there wasn't a single alchemy furnace in it. Instead, Lu Ming found 10,000 desolation pills. These desolation pills belonged to Gabbert and Wuxia. Lu Ming guessed that the two of them had kept the desolation pills because these desolation pills weren't enough to help them break through to the next realm. They wanted to accumulate more desolation pills and refine them together to break through to the next realm. Now Lu Ming had taken advantage of them. There isn't a single alchemy furnace in Wuxia's storage ring. Could it be that he also asked the devil race to guard it and refine the desolation pills? It's a pity that I didn't ask the young demon to explain it clearly just now. Lu Ming muttered. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared, heading in the direction that the young demon had told him. An hour later, in the sky above a mountain range, a figure flashed and appeared. It was Lu Ming. The desolation chi in this area is indeed dense. It's suitable for refining desolation pills. It seems that Gabbert's people are here. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind as he looked at the valley ahead. In this area, the desolation chi in that valley was the densest. Gabbert's people should be refining desolation pills there. Although the speed at which a furnace refined desolation pills was related to the grade of the furnace itself, it was also related to the environment outside. The denser the desolation chi outside, the faster the furnace refined desolation pills. When Lu Ming had refined desolation pills before, the furnace could refine a batch of desolation pills in half a day. A batch of 12 desolation pills. If he had refined in a place with denser desolation chi, the number of desolation pills he could refine would have exceeded 12. Immediately, Lu Ming withdrew his aura, landed on the ground and silently headed for the valley. He didn't know how strong Gabbert's subordinates were. If there were stronger people, even stronger than Gabbert, he would have to give up on the idea. Since they were Gabbert's subordinates, most likely no one in the younger generation could surpass Gabbert. He was afraid that those in the prime of their lives, who had cultivated for many years, had profound cultivation, and comprehended all kinds of secret techniques for many years, could surpass Gabbert in battle strength. Soon, Lu Ming silently arrived above the valley. Using the great concealment technique, he hid in the dark and observed. Chapter 4305. As expected, there was a group of people in the valley. They were all wearing white robes. Some were young, some were in their prime. There were about 30 of them. Lu Ming could tell at one glance that she was an angel due to her unique aura. These people formed a circle, and in the middle of them were pill furnaces. 12 furnaces, one of them is 3 meters in diameter. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He realized that there were 12 furnaces in total. 11 of them were 1 meter in diameter and one was 3 meters in diameter. More than 30 people from the Angel clan were surrounding the furnaces. First, they were guarding the furnaces. Second, they were maintaining the furnaces so that they could continue refining desolate pellets. Gabbert isn't here. Lu Ming's eyes twinkled. He didn't see Gabbert in the valley. He was a bit disappointed. He had thought that if Gabbert had come back and was seriously injured, he might have been able to kill him. But now, it seemed like Gabbert didn't come back because he was worried about something. It seems like the strongest Angel clan member has the strength of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer. If I can kill him first, I can deal with him. Lu Ming thought and made a decision. He decided to attack. After careful observation, he realized that the strongest Angel clan member had the strength of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer. He was in his prime. 6th Great Supreme God Layer was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's cultivation level. If that Angel clan member had the strength of 3 stars, it would be difficult for Lu Ming to deal with him. However, if he could kill him first, he wouldn't be afraid of the others. Lu Ming restrained his chi and used the great concealing technique. He quietly moved towards the valley and approached the Angel clan member of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer. The Angel clan member of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer was sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the valley. He was the closest to Lu Ming. Very quickly, Lu Ming was only 1,000 meters away from him. The great concealing technique was mysterious and extraordinary. It was an ancient secret technique that was as famous as the great teleportation technique and the great aurora technique. It was one of the top 100 ancient secret techniques among the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Even when he was 1,000 meters away from this person still hadn't noticed. A distance of 1,000 meters was no different from 0 to them. Great assassination technique. Lu Ming performed the great assassination skill. His palm seemed to have turned into a long sword, piercing toward the angel with the strength of the 6th layer of the great Emperor God realm. The distance of 1,000 meters was covered in an instant. When the sword light approached the Angel clan's cultivator of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer, he was alarmed. With a furious roar, this person erupted with all his strength, wanting to move horizontally to avoid Lu Ming's sword light. However, he was still a step too late. Lu Ming's sword light was aimed at the back of his head. At the critical moment, he moved sideways a little, causing the sword light to deviate a little, but it still pierced through his head. With a bang, half of the man's head exploded, and his body fell forward. Although it didn't hit the center and didn't immediately extinguish this person's soul, the explosion of half of his head still injured this person's soul, causing him to be heavily injured. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? His terrifying attacks rose again as he charged towards this person. Shouted the Angel clan's cultivator of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer furiously. He spread his wings and his entire body was surrounded by a pure white holy light. At that moment he finally saw who had attacked him by surprise. Mu Yun, shouted the Angel clan's cultivator of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer. What responded to him was Lu Ming's cold murderous intent. This time Lu Ming performed the heaven-splitting move. Dazzling spear gleams dashed toward this person. Boom. Their attacks collided. At that moment, the angel's holy light was destroyed. The spear lights didn't stop and continued to attack the remaining half of the man's head. With a loud bang, the man's head exploded. His soul was also destroyed by the spear lights. A headless corpse fell on the ground. Finally, the others came to their senses. From the moment Lu Ming launched the assassination to the moment he launched the second attack to kill this person, Everything happened too quickly. It was only after he had completely killed this person that the rest of the people reacted. Mu Yun. It's Mu Yun. Damn it. He dared attack us by surprise. Kill him. Die. Shouted the angels furiously. They all threw themselves at Lu Ming. Some of them had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer, and their fighting strength was between 2 and 3 stars. They were the fastest. They turned into pure white sword lights and moved towards Lu Ming. They wanted to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. Even though Lu Ming had just killed the strongest of them, they thought that Lu Ming had done it by surprise. Now that Lu Ming was in front of them, they didn't have the opportunity to attack him by surprise. They didn't think he was that strong. The few cultivators of the 5th Great Supreme God layer were the first to reach Lu Ming. Die. Lu Ming shouted softly. Both of his fists blasted out continuously. Waves of violent energy transformed into fist force, crushing the opponent. There were 4 angels of the 5th Great Supreme God layer in total. They didn't even have time to scream before their bodies exploded. Lu Ming's fists had directly destroyed them. Even though they had the strength of the 5th Great Supreme God layer, the strongest of them was only 3 stars. Altogether, they were only 9 stars stronger than ordinary cultivators of the 3rd Great Supreme God layer. Lu Ming's combat ability was as high as 12 stars. Naturally, he could crush and kill these people in seconds. Slash, slash, slash. This scene had all the other angels sucking in a cold breath of air. Their eyes were filled with fear. They had initially wanted to kill Lu Ming, but when they saw that, they tried to control their god strength to stop. But it was too late. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and indifferent. His body seemed to have transformed into a long spear. He dashed out and beams of spear gleams burst out from his body. No matter if the angels were attacking or defending, they couldn't withstand a single attack from Lu Ming's spear lights. Spear lights shot out and the angels were killed one by one. Out of more than 30 angels, only 5 were left. The remaining 5 were so scared that they were trembling all over. Their guts were almost broken, and their faces were twisted together because of fear. Spare my life. Don't kill me. I surrender. I'm willing to be your slave. I beg you, please don't kill me. The 5 angels were young. They were begging for their lives. They didn't have the courage to fight back. Hee, are these the geniuses of the top 10 clans? You're just SOSO. Lu Ming sneered, full of sarcasm. The geniuses of the top 10 clans were usually high and mighty in the ancient desolate universe. They looked down on the other clans and ordered them around. But now they were facing death. They were even more afraid of death than ordinary people. What face? What dignity? They had nothing. They didn't want anything. Although the 5 angels felt aggrieved and angry, they did not dare to show it on their faces. They continued to look at Lu Ming with pleading eyes. Chapter 4306. The 5 angels didn't dare to escape or attack. They could only look at Lu Ming pleadingly. They hoped that Lu Ming would be merciful and let them go. Get lost. Lu Ming waved his hand casually. The 5 angels were overjoyed. They were so excited that their bodies were trembling. They never expected that Lu Ming would really let them go. They didn't have any intention of staying. Like stray dogs, they flew into the distance and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming didn't make a move and let the 5 angels leave. It wasn't that Lu Ming was merciful and didn't have the heart to kill them. Lu Ming deliberately let them leave to deal a blow to Gabbert. After these people left, they would definitely look for Gabbert. If Gabbert knew that the pill furnaces he had painstakingly obtained had all fallen into Lu Ming's hands, he would probably die of anger. Even if he didn't die of anger, he would be half dead, which would cause his injuries to heal even more slowly. That was Lu Ming's goal. In any case, he didn't mind letting the 5 angels go. They were no threat to him. Lu Ming stepped forward and walked toward the 12 pill furnaces. Then he waved his hand and put them away. He had no intention of condensing the desolation pill here. Although the desolation aura here was dense, it was easy to be exposed. It was better to find another place to condense the desolation pill. After putting away the pill furnaces, Lu Ming randomly chose a direction and soared into the sky, wanting to leave. However, after flying for a few miles, Lu Ming's figure suddenly stopped and he retreated rapidly. Who's there? Lu Ming shouted. At the same time, he looked in all directions with a serious expression. That was because he felt a sense of danger from all directions. There were definitely powerhouses hiding in the surroundings. What a sharp spiritual sense, but it's useless. Mu Yun, your fate is sealed today. A cold voice sounded. At the same time, many figures appeared around Lu Ming and surrounded him. There weren't many of them, only about 20 or so. However, the aura they emitted was extremely terrifying, causing Lu Ming's gaze to turn even more serious. Devil race, heavenly human race. Lu Ming's gaze swept over them. He discovered that some of them were from the demon clan. There were also a few from the celestial clan. However, they were not young people. They were in the prime of their lives. What Lu Ming feared the most were these heavenly human tribe youths. They gave Lu Ming a strong sense of oppression. At least the sixth great supreme god layer, Lu Ming muttered in his heart. This time it was a little troublesome. The heavenly human tribe's innate talents were very powerful. Any heavenly human tribe member could reach 2-star battle prowess. The slightly stronger ones could even reach 3-star battle prowess. As for those who were more talented and outstanding, it wouldn't be too difficult for them to attain a 4-star battle prowess. Coupled with their cultivation, such battle prowess could completely crush Lu Ming. Are you the one who leaked the information? Lu Ming's gaze finally landed on a young demon clan member and he asked coldly. This young demon clan member was the one who had previously informed Lu Ming of the location of Gabbert's cauldron. Needless to say, this person had brought people here. He had miscalculated. He should have killed this person before. Previously, Lu Ming didn't think too much about it. He thought that this person had told Gabbert the location of the cauldron because Gabbert had killed Wuxia and he wanted to avenge Wuxia. Now it seemed that he was wrong. This person had told Gabbert the location of the cauldron to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only could he attack Gabbert, but he could also kill him and make a great contribution to the heavenly human tribe. What a scheming person. If it weren't for the fact that this person's battle prowess was not strong enough, he would have been a terrifying opponent. Isn't that obvious? Mu Yun, I can't kill you, but the experts of the heavenly human tribe can. The young demon clan member sneered with a smug look on his face. Although he didn't kill Lu Ming and couldn't obtain the position of Son of Heaven, helping the heavenly human tribe to kill Lu Ming was still a great contribution. In the future he would definitely be valued by the heavenly palace and have a meteoric rise. Thinking of the beautiful future, Lu Ming couldn't help but smile on his face. Very well, your life is mine. Swoosh. Before Lu Ming's voice fell, he suddenly used the Greater Aurora technique. His body turned into an aurora and rushed toward the young demon clan member. A terrifying spear light rushed toward the young demon clan member. At this time, a heavenly human tribe member stepped out with a cold snort. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. A golden fist blasted toward Lu Ming and collided with Lu Ming's spear light. Boom. A violent explosion erupted. Lu Ming's spear light instantly collapsed. His body shook violently and retreated violently, spitting out a mouthful of blood. What a strong combat strength. Lu Ming looked even more dignified. The heavenly human tribe member who had attacked a moment ago had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer, but he had the strength of 4 stars. That was 1 star higher than Lu Ming's. I can't defeat him, I have to run. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He cast the transference skill, wanting to leave. I knew you would use the greater teleportation technique. Seal the space, shouted a heavenly human tribe member. Boom boom boom. The surrounding people all exuded a powerful aura. Their energy spread in all directions, making the surrounding space extremely heavy and obstructing Lu Ming's transference skill. No secret technique was invincible, no matter how mysterious it was, it had a weakness. The weakness of the greater teleportation technique was that once the space was disturbed, it would be very difficult to use it. Die. At the same time, another burly man from the heavenly human clan stepped out and charged toward Lu Ming. He was holding a halberd which emitted a dazzling light and slashed at Lu Ming. Fast, it was too fast. Moreover, my timing was very precise. At the moment when Lu Ming failed to cast the transference skill, I executed the killer move. Lu Ming felt a terrifying sense of danger, which made his hair stand on end. Great defensive technique, great divine shield technique. In an instant, Lu Ming cast close to 200 types of defensive ancient mystic skills and set up more than 200 layers of defense around his body. At the same time, Lu Ming unleashed a secret skill of speed and retreated rapidly to the back. As soon as the heavenly human tribe member attacked, Lu Ming knew that he couldn't defeat him. He was too terrifying. However, the heavenly human tribe member attacked even faster. The halberd still hit him. The moment the halberd slashed, the defense that Lu Ming had set up on his body exploded continuously. In a breath's time, the 200 layers of defense around Lu Ming's body were all destroyed. The terrifying energy bombarded Lu Ming's body. Get rid of it, shouted Lu Ming. His body started to shake violently, turning into an illusion. He wanted to get rid of the energy. However, in the end he only managed to get rid of a part of it. The rest of the energy bombarded his body and made half of his body explode. Lu Ming coughed up blood and his face turned pale. 5 stars. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Even though the heavenly human tribe member had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer, his fighting strength was 5 stars, which was 2 stars higher than Lu Ming's. 2 stars of battle prowess, he could completely crush them. Chapter 4307. Under normal circumstances, 2 stars of fighting strength was enough to kill a cultivator instantly. However, Lu Ming was special. His ability to protect himself was too strong. As long as he didn't fight head-on with his opponent, he had many ways to protect himself. He had forbidden strength and his vitality was incomparably strong. Besides, Lu Ming had mastered too many ancient mystic skills and there were all kinds of them. Defensive skills, speed skills, energy dissipation skills, escape skills and so on. When those skills were used together, Lu Ming's ability to protect himself reached the peak. Even though Lu Ming's cultivation level was 2 stars higher than his, he still managed to survive. He's not dead. The strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan was also very surprised. Lu Ming was more difficult to kill than they had imagined. You guys seal the surrounding space. Don't let him escape. I'll kill him, shouted the strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan. Then he continued to attack Lu Ming. As long as they sealed Lu Ming in the area, he wouldn't be able to escape. Sooner or later he would be killed. If he couldn't kill Lu Ming with 1 move, he would use 2 moves. If 2 moves weren't enough, he would use 3 moves. If he used a few more moves, he would be able to kill Lu Ming sooner or later. You're really smart. If you kill me, you'll be able to take all the credit, shouted Lu Ming. At the same time, he rushed to the other side. When he said that, as expected, some people's expressions changed drastically. Those devil race experts were still fine. They knew that it was impossible to snatch credit in front of the celestial race. However, the other members of the heavenly human clan had other ideas. Indeed, whoever killed Lu Ming would be able to take credit and become the son of heaven. Who didn't want to become the son of heaven? Especially for people like them who weren't young anymore. They were already in the prime of their lives. Their cultivation level was only at the 6th great supreme god layer. In terms of potential, they were much weaker than those young geniuses. If that continued, their future would be bleak. Maybe after reaching the peak of the great supreme god layer, it would be difficult for them to progress any further. It would be difficult for them to break through to the divine master layer. But once they were bestowed the title of son of heaven, their future, their fate, would completely change. Even if their talent and potential were lacking, as long as they had enough resources, they would still be able to break through to the divine master realm. Therefore, Mu Yun's life was of utmost importance to them. The expression of the brawny heavenly human race man who was attacking Lu Ming changed. He shouted, "Don't fall into his trap. Seal the space. Once there is a flaw, he will escape." As he roared, he madly charged towards Lu Ming, fearing that others would snatch it away. Naturally, he had his own selfish motives. He wanted to kill Lu Ming himself and take all the credit for himself. He's already heavily injured. He can't escape. That's right. Everyone should have a share of Mu Yun. You can't monopolize him. Kill. How could the other heavenly human tribe burly men miss such an opportunity? One after another, they pounced on Lu Ming. In this way, several experts joined forces to besiege Lu Ming, causing Lu Ming to fall into a fatal crisis. However, a flaw appeared in the outer seal of the void. This was an opportunity. Fight. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a ruthless look. He suddenly changed direction and charged towards one of the heavenly human tribe burly men. This burly man was the first person Lu Ming had fought with. This person had a 4-star combat strength, only 1 star higher than Lu Ming. Among the heavenly human tribe burly men present, he was considered the weakest. It was most advantageous to break through from this person's side. Lu Ming used the sky-breaking style. His body turned into a long spear and charged towards the heavenly human tribe burly man. This time, Lu Ming pressed forward with indomitable will, charging forward crazily. Boom. The 2 attacks collided. Lu Ming's attack was defeated, and a powerful force bombarded Lu Ming's body. However, this time Lu Ming did not retreat. If he retreated, he could reduce some of the force and the damage he received would not be too great. However, if he retreated now, he would be attacked by others. Then Lu Ming would be in even more danger. Now he could only charge forward with indomitable will. As he continued to charge forward, Lu Ming suffered more damage. His body continued to explode. In the end, more than half of his body exploded, leaving only the upper half of his body. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be severely injured and not have much combat strength left. However, Lu Ming would not. As long as he had a single cell left, he could be revived. Moreover, more than half of his cells were still there. Lu Ming's combat strength was still at its peak. He did not retreat and charged with all his might. Finally, he successfully charged past the heavenly human tribe burly man. Oh no! Damn it! Stop him! The other heavenly human tribe burly men roared. However, it was already too late. Lu Ming had already used the greater teleportation technique. Swoosh! This time, the greater teleportation technique was successfully activated. The surrounding demon tribe experts were not as strong as those from the heavenly human tribe. There were flaws in the void seal. Lu Ming moved out of these flaws and rushed out of the encirclement. However, Lu Ming did not go far. Instead, he came out from the side of the demon tribe youth. This person dared to scheme against him. How could Lu Ming let him go? As soon as he saw Lu Ming suddenly appear beside him, the demon tribe youth was scared out of his wits. He screamed in horror. Save me! No one can save you. From the moment you schemed against me, your fate has been sealed. Go to hell. A cold voice came out from Lu Ming's mouth. At the same time, a spear light burst out. Although Lu Ming only had half of his body left, his combat strength was not affected. The demon tribe youth could not block Lu Ming's attack at all. The spear light flashed and the demon tribe youth's glabella was penetrated. His soul was also annihilated. His eyes were wide open, filled with unwillingness, despair, and regret. Yes, regret. If he knew that he would end up like this, he would not have provoked Lu Ming. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Damn it. Kill. Those burly men from the heavenly human tribe and some of the demon tribe experts also rushed towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming continued to use the greater teleportation technique and disappeared from the spot. I will remember your lives. Sooner or later I will take them away. Just you wait. Lu Ming's voice was still floating in the air. Chase. Those heavenly human tribe experts roared and chased after Lu Ming. Unfortunately, their speed was not as fast as Lu Ming. The distance between them became wider and wider. Soon they completely lost track of Lu Ming. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The burly man from the heavenly human tribe who had the combat strength of 5 stars roared. He then looked at the others angrily and said, I told you not to attack and seal the void. Now you have fallen into a trap. You have to take responsibility? Take responsibility? What a joke. Why are you the one who attacked and not me? You sealed the void. You just want to take all the credit for yourself. That's right. Don't make it sound so dignified. You are also at fault. The other heavenly human tribe experts sneered. Chapter 4308. While the burly men from the heavenly human tribe were arguing, Lu Ming had already teleported hundreds of thousands of miles away. Lu Ming did not continue to teleport, instead he started to fly. At the same time he coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood. This time his injuries were really serious. It was one of the most serious injuries he had suffered since he started cultivating. Looks like I'm still not careful enough. During this period of time, my combat strength has been constantly soaring, causing me to be a little overconfident. There are still quite a number of people in the younger generation who are stronger than me, not to mention that there are still people in their prime entering this time. Lu Ming warned himself to sum up his experience. After all, he was only at the 3rd layer of the Great God Realm. There were many people who were stronger than him in the 2nd layer. He had to be more careful in the future. At the same time, he had to be more ruthless. For example, when the young man from the demon clan told him the location of Gabbert's cauldron, he should have killed him immediately. That way no one would know where he went. That would be the safest way. Lu Ming was flying while circulating his forbidden energy. The forbidden energy kept flowing out of the remaining cells to repair Lu Ming's body. The lower half of Lu Ming's body was rapidly growing and recovering. While Lu Ming was flying, the few strong men from the heavenly human clan had already spread the news that Mu Yun had been seriously injured. They had spread the news in the nearby area and called for everyone to come and kill Lu Ming. In an instant, many people gave up looking for cauldrons and gave up on refining desolate pills. They came to kill Lu Ming. Compared to the position of son of heaven or daughter of heaven, cauldrons or desolate pills, it was a far cry. Everyone in the area was looking for Lu Ming. Some people who were proficient in formations had set up surveillance formations to capture Lu Ming's whereabouts. After Lu Ming flew for a while, the lower half of his body grew out completely and he returned to his original appearance. His aura had also stabilized. Now that I have 30 pill furnaces, the speed of refining Great Desolate pills has greatly increased. Now, I need to find a place with dense Great Desolate Qi to refine Great Desolate pills. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. Then he spread out his spirit sense and began to search. After a while, swish, swish. Suddenly, a rainbow light appeared in front of him, rushing towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming noticed it from afar. People from the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. In the Taishang Immortal City, other than the Heaven Destroyer, the rest were all from the Heavenly Palace. Muyun is over there. Kill him, don't let him escape. Those people were obviously here for Lu Ming. Each and every one of them exuded a cold killing intent, and there was a greedy light in their eyes. These people are really here for me. How did they know I was here? Could it be that someone has set up a surveillance formation in the vicinity? Lu Ming's mind was racing. With his intelligence, he quickly came to this conclusion. Those people obviously had a purpose. They were rushing towards him from afar. Obviously they knew he was there. That was why they were rushing towards him. There was only one possibility: there was a surveillance formation in the vicinity. Those people had seen him and were rushing towards him. The strongest one is only of the 5th Great Supreme God layer and you want to kill me? You're overestimating yourself. Lu Ming was already very angry. At that moment, it was as if his anger had been ignited. He exploded with a loud bang full of killing intent. Lu Ming immediately rushed over, his body turned into a long spear and attacked the enemy. The strongest one on the enemy's side was only of the 5th Great Supreme God layer. There were no geniuses at the level of Gabbard. How could they be a match for Lu Ming? After a short time, there were corpses on the ground. It was a kind of deterrence. Then Lu Ming used the Greater Teleportation Technique and left. This time Lu Ming used the Greater Teleportation Technique. He didn't fly anymore. If he flew, he would be discovered by the surveillance formation, but if he used the Greater Teleportation Technique, he wouldn't be discovered by the surveillance formation. As expected, Lu Ming didn't run into any people from the Heavenly Palace. He continued teleporting for millions of li and finally found a suitable place. This was a lake. It was very wide and the Great Desolation Qi in this lake was very dense. Lu Ming immediately jumped into the lake and went to the bottom. Then he took out all 30 pill furnaces and injected forbidden energy into them to activate them, allowing them to start refining Great Desolate pills. As for Lu Ming, he took out some interspatial rings and started checking them. Those interspatial rings had been left behind by Gabbard's subordinates. Those people were guarding the cauldrons and refining desolate pills. There should be some desolate pills. After all, they didn't dare to refine them for themselves. They had to give them to Gabbard. As expected, there were more than 10,000 desolate pills in those people's interspatial rings. Lu Ming had already obtained 10,000 desolate pills. Now Lu Ming had more than 20,000 desolate pills. Robbing is really fast. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Of course, this was based on his strength. If he wasn't strong enough, not only would he not be able to get the desolate pills, he would also lose his life. Let's refine these 20,000 desolate pills and increase my cultivation first. Lu Ming nodded and then took a deep breath. Tens of thousands of primordial pills were sucked into Lu Ming's mouth. They turned into surging energy that surged into the cells in his body and then transformed into taboo energy. Lu Ming could clearly feel that his cultivation was increasing rapidly. He was slowly approaching the 4th Great Supreme God layer. Very quickly, 10,000 desolate pills were refined. Lu Ming took the remaining 10,000 desolate pills and continued to refine them. After refining all 20,000 desolate pills, Lu Ming's cultivation was approaching the late 3rd Great Supreme God layer. 20,000 desolate pills and I'm only approaching the late 3rd Great Supreme God layer. It seems like I need at least 120,000 desolate pills to break through to the 4th Great Supreme God layer. It seems like I have to wait for a while. Lu Ming thought for a while and then started to comprehend the ordinary secret techniques. Half a day later, the 30 cauldrons started to refine pills. Bzzz. 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 The 30 cauldrons shook at the same time. A large amount of pills flew out of the cauldrons. Lu Ming grabbed them in the air and they all flew towards him. 575 pills. The density of the Great Desolate Qi here is about the same as the place where I refined pills last time. A pill furnace with a diameter of 1 meter can produce 12 Great Desolate pills. A pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters can produce 10 times the diameter of 1 meter. There are a total of 120 pills in one furnace, whispered Lu Ming. He was quite satisfied. At this speed he could refine 1152 desolate pills a day. In 100 days he could refine more than 110,000 desolate pills. Lu Ming put the desolate pills away. He didn't refine them. He planned to wait until he had 100,000 desolate pills. Then he would refine them all and break through to the fourth great supreme god layer. He continued to comprehend the ordinary secret techniques. All kinds of ordinary secret techniques turned into talismans and merged with Lu Ming's cells. The forbidden energy was slowly changing and increasing. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 100 days had passed. Lu Ming already had around 110,000 desolate pills. Chapter 4309. After 100 days, Lu Ming had accumulated around 110,000 desolate pills. According to Lu Ming's calculations, 110,000 was enough for him to break through to the fourth great supreme god layer. He immediately stopped studying the secret technique and started refining the desolate pills. Lu Ming opened his mouth and inhaled. Tens of thousands of desolate pills were sucked into his mouth and turned into forbidden energy. Lu Ming's cultivation level rose rapidly. Late third great supreme god layer, peak third great supreme god layer. Lu Ming's cultivation level rose all the way to the top of the third great supreme god layer. Then he started breaking through to the fourth great supreme god layer. As long as he had enough desolate pills, the bottlenecks of the great supreme god layer were nothing. Not long after, boom! There was a soft roar in Lu Ming's body. Then his aura surged and increased crazily. He had successfully broken through to the fourth great supreme god layer. Besides, Lu Ming still had 10,000 desolate pills left. Just like Lu Ming had calculated, he needed 120,000 desolate pills to break through to the fourth great supreme god layer. As Lu Ming had already refined 20,000 pills previously, he was left with 10,000 pills out of the 110,000 pills. However, Lu Ming didn't keep them. He also refined the 10,000 desolate pills. After breaking through to the fifth great supreme god layer, he needed at least 10 times more desolate pills to break through to the fourth great supreme god layer. He needed at least 1,200,000 desolate pills. Of course, 10,000 desolate pills weren't very useful, but they could help him consolidate his cultivation level. After an hour, Lu Ming's chi stabilized. His cultivation level had stabilized at the fourth great supreme god layer. Lu Ming's fighting strength had increased tremendously after breaking through to the fourth great supreme god layer. Now if he faced Gabbard again he could kill him with one slap. Of course, that was if he hadn't broken through to the fourth great supreme god layer. I finally broke through to the fourth great supreme god layer, but to break through to the fifth great supreme god layer, I need at least 1,200,000 desolate pills. That's too much. With my cauldron, I need 3 years to concoct them, Lu Ming thought. In 3 years he had broken through to the fifth great supreme god layer. In the outside world he was astonishingly fast, but in the supreme celestial city he wasn't satisfied. There were too many experts on the second level of the supreme immortal city. He had to improve as quickly as possible. Furthermore, they could not stay on the second level for too long. At most, they could only stay for 50 years. After 50 years they would have to leave. Yes, only 50 years. Although the Grand Supreme Immortal City would stay in the desolate universe for 1,000 years, they could only stay on the first, second, and third level for 50 years. He would spend most of his time on the origin seed. That was the most important and also the most time-consuming. Therefore 50 years was too short. He really didn't have time to waste. If he stayed there and didn't do anything he could break through to the fifth great supreme god layer in 3 years and the sixth great supreme god layer in 30 years. Then it came to an end. If he wanted to break through to the seventh great supreme god layer, he would need 300 years. If he broke through to the sixth great supreme god layer, it would be impossible for him to get the chance to condense the origin seed. In the future he would have to compete to condense the origin seed. On each level only the strongest people would have the chance to do so. He had to break through to the seventh great supreme god layer, or even reach the peak of the great supreme god layer. Only then would he have the chance to condense the origin seed. Therefore if he stayed there and didn't do anything he wouldn't be able to condense the desolate pills. Even though it was the safest way. Besides, he still had to find Xian Yanqing and find Qiuyu and the others. Therefore he had to compete to obtain more pill furnaces and more desolation pills. Only then would he be able to quickly increase his cultivation. Lu Ming waved his hand and took the 30 cauldrons. Then he rose up into the air and left the lake. According to the information Fei Huang gave me, there are 36 star palaces in the second level of the Taishang Immortal City. I should be in one of the star palaces. No matter which star palaces I am in, they are divided into the outer area and the core area. At the beginning I will enter the outer area. The outer area has the least opportunities. The level of the cauldrons is not very high. The desolate chi is also very low. The core area not only has higher level cauldrons, but also some celestial palaces and earth veins. The desolate chi is extremely thick there. You can condense a huge amount of desolate pills there. However, if you want to enter the core area, you have to go through the calamity-avoiding ocean. If you want to go through the calamity-avoiding ocean, you have to get a calamity-avoiding airship. The information given by Fei Huang kept appearing in Lu Ming's mind. Then he summarized the information and made a plan for the next step. Without a doubt, if he wanted to increase his cultivation level quickly, he had to enter the core area. In the outer area, when his cultivation level was low, he could increase his cultivation level quickly. However, when his cultivation level was high, the amount of resources he needed to increase his cultivation level would increase exponentially. He had to enter the core area to increase his cultivation speed. According to Fei Huang's information, there were some other opportunities in the core area. Some of them contained heaven-shaking opportunities that were difficult to guess. Lu Ming guessed that some of the strongest cultivators, such as those above the 7th Great Supreme God layer, had already entered the core area. I don't have a calamity-avoiding airship, so it will be difficult to go through the calamity-avoiding ocean. However, the calamity-avoiding airship can carry more than one person. I will go to the edge of the calamity-avoiding ocean. Maybe I will be able to take other people's calamity-avoiding airship and enter the core area. Lu Ming thought for a while and made a decision. Then he used the map Fei Huang had given him to determine the direction and flew towards the core area. While flying, Lu Ming's appearance and body quickly changed. In the end he changed his appearance. Although it couldn't change his life origin chi, he had stayed in the Heavenly Palace for a long time. The Heavenly Palace had preserved his chi. Once they met, many people would recognize him. However, at least he wouldn't be discovered by the Heavenly Palace's monitoring formation. The monitoring formation could only distinguish the appearance, but not the life origin chi. That way it would save him a lot of trouble. As expected, he didn't get besieged for a while. On the way, if he encountered people from the Heavenly Palace, Lu Ming would avoid them. He didn't want to encounter people who could recognize his life origin chi. Otherwise it would be difficult to avoid a great battle. Even though he had broken through to the Heavenly Palace and his fighting strength had increased, it was hard to guarantee that there were even more terrifying people in the Heavenly Palace. In the following 2 days, Lu Ming didn't encounter too much trouble. However, on the 3rd day Lu Ming discovered something. On the left side of Lu Ming's flight, there was a violent explosion. There were dazzling lights and furious roars. Those roars, Lu Ming's eyes moved. Those roars were similar to the roars of ancient gods. Chapter 43:10. Lu Ming had heard the roar of a primitive immortal level spirit. However, as far as Lu Ming knew, there were no divine emperors among the primitive immortal level spirits, which meant that the one who roared had the bloodline of a primitive immortal level spirit or cultivated the primitive divine body. Is it someone from the primitive divine lake? Let's go and have a look. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He then flew in that direction. The primitive divine lake belonged to the Heaven Destroyer. If they were in danger, he couldn't just stand by and watch. Lu Ming would help if it was within his capabilities. After a few flashes, he had crossed 100,000 miles and arrived at a mountain range. Lu Ming's eyes widened as soon as he arrived. The mountain range in front of him was filled with purple light. There was a giant 8 trigrams in the purple light. It was an alchemy field. There were 2 groups of people fighting fiercely around the 8 trigrams. One of them was surrounded by the other. On the side that was surrounded, there were a few particularly large figures who roared at the sky. The roar of a primitive immortal level spirit that Lu Ming heard came from them. They are indeed people from the primitive divine lake and some other people from the Heaven Destroyer. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It was the Heavenly Palace that was besieging the Sky Exterminating Troop. There were more than 50 of them, while the Sky Exterminating Troop only had more than 30 people. Therefore, the Sky Exterminating Troop was at a complete disadvantage. There was no cauldron on the 8 trigrams. Apparently it had been put away. It's them? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of killing intent. There were people he knew on both sides. There were a few elites from the primitive divine lake on the Heaven Destroyer's side. Lu Ming knew one of them, Fei Yi, who he had fought with at the primitive divine lake. Coincidentally, there were a few brawny heavenly humans on the Heavenly Palace's side. They were the ones who had attacked Lu Ming and severely injured Lu Ming. He didn't expect to see them here. Suddenly, a miserable shriek rang out. A huge figure was beheaded by a celestial race man. Then his soul was annihilated. That was an elite with a primitive god spirit blood pulse. He was very powerful, but he was still killed. In a battle of the same level, he wasn't a match for the heavenly human tribe's muscular man. Kill all these traitors. A muscular heavenly human race man roared. Kill? The people from the heavenly palace were in high spirits as they fought madly. It had to be known that killing traitors gave a large number of merit points, and the merit points obtained were even higher than that of demons. In the eyes of the heavenly palace, the traitor's head represented merit points and treasures. The Heaven Destroyer's side was even more vulnerable. They were forced to retreat and could only defend. It was difficult for them to counterattack. Damn it, don't go too far. We can give you the pill furnace, but you have to make way for us. A voice came from Heaven Destroyer's side. It was Flying Leaf. It seemed that the pill furnace of this elixir field had fallen into the hands of Heaven Destroyer. As long as we kill you, the pill furnace will still be ours. A muscular heavenly human race man sneered. The people from the heavenly palace didn't give in at all. They continued to attack, and Heaven Destroyer's side was in danger. If this continued, Heaven Destroyer's side was likely to be wiped out. I should be able to deal with the elites from the heavenly palace. Lu Ming observed for a while and decided to make a move. These people had seriously injured him before. This grudge must be avenged. In addition, if he made a move, he could also save the people of Heaven Destroyer. It was killing two birds with one stone. Swish. Lu Ming rushed over at an astonishing speed, like a stream of light. As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, he alarmed the elites from the heavenly palace. Many pairs of eyes looked toward Lu Ming. It's him. It's Mu Yun. The muscular heavenly human race men recognized Lu Ming as soon as they saw Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming had changed his appearance, they had all seen Lu Ming before and knew the aura of Lu Ming's life origin. For people at their level, they relied on the aura of life origin to recognize people. It's him. At the same time, the people of Heaven Destroyer also recognized Lu Ming. They had long remembered each other's life origin aura. Unfortunately, he's alone. He can't save us at all by himself. He can't even protect himself. Why did he still rush out? Is he confident? The people of Heaven Destroyer had many thoughts in their minds. Mu Yun, he actually dares to take the initiative to appear. Kill him. On the side of the heavenly palace, many people revealed a scorching light. Some of them reacted quickly and rushed towards Lu Ming. They wanted to kill Lu Ming first. A total of 10 people rushed towards Lu Ming. They were extremely fast, including a muscular heavenly human race man who had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer. Damn it, they beat us to it. The other people of the heavenly palace were roaring in their hearts. They were cursing themselves for being too slow. Killing Mu Yun would be a great merit. They could even be crowned as the son or daughter of heaven. On the side of the heavenly palace, many people were annoyed and blamed themselves for being too slow. At that moment, the 10 people of the heavenly palace were already close to Lu Ming. They attacked Lu Ming with all kinds of attacks. They wanted to kill Lu Ming first and take the credit. You're courting death. Lu Ming didn't stop. He used the sky-breaking movement and his entire body turned into a long spear. He put his palms together and stretched them out. With his palms as the tip of the spear and his body as the body of the spear, he rushed towards the 10 strong cultivators of the heavenly palace. Bang! The attacks of the 10 strong cultivators of the heavenly palace were destroyed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't stop. He rushed past the strong cultivators of the heavenly palace and pierced their bodies. Those people kept screaming. In a flash, 9 of them were torn apart by the terrifying energy and died on the spot. The muscular heavenly human race man was a little stronger. Although he wasn't killed on the spot, he was severely injured. He coughed up blood and retreated. Your cultivation. The muscular heavenly human race man shouted in fear. The burly man from the heavenly human clan shouted in horror. Obviously, he did not expect Lu Ming's cultivation level to increase so quickly. I said before that I would kill you sooner or later. Go to hell. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He didn't stop and continued to rush forward. The muscular heavenly human race man couldn't withstand Lu Ming's attack and was killed. The remaining people of the heavenly palace were stunned. At the same time, they felt a chill in their hearts. How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so strong? More than 10 strong cultivators rushed out and were killed in an instant. His combat strength was too terrifying. If they were the ones who rushed out just now, the consequences would be unimaginable. This kid has broken through his cultivation. Damn it. He was injured so badly. How could he recover so quickly and break through his cultivation so quickly? The muscular heavenly human race men roared in disbelief. On the other hand, the eyes of those from the sky exterminating troop brightened with hope. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. Perhaps they could be saved this time. Chapter 43:11. I told you before that I would kill you sooner or later. Give me your lives. Lu Ming looked at the strong men of the heavenly human clan. His eyes were filled with killing intent. At the same time he pushed his aura to the peak and stepped out, pressing towards the heavenly palace. Some of the weaker ones felt a chill in their hearts. They could not help but take a few steps back, not daring to face Lu Ming. Don't be afraid. Let's join hands and kill him. We'll split the rewards, shouted a strong man of the heavenly human clan. He was extremely strong. He had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer and 5 stars of battle strength. That's right. Let's attack together, shouted the other strong cultivators of the heavenly human clan. Boom, boom. Immediately afterward, a few burly men from the heavenly human race attacked. They channeled the power of heaven and charged toward Lu Ming with halberds, spears and swords. Not only the heavenly human clan, but also the strong cultivators of the other clans. They also attacked Lu Ming. There were 7 strong cultivators in total. They were the strongest cultivators there. The 7 experts made a move and their power was shocking. 7 rays of light with destructive power were aimed at Lu Ming's 7 vital points. Good. Lu Ming looked at the 7 strong cultivators coldly. He didn't retreat at all. He attacked them directly. At the same time his body started shining. That was a defensive ancient secret skill. There were more than 200 kinds of ancient secret skills. Swish. Lu Ming turned into a spear and attacked a strong cultivator of the 6th great supreme god layer. As for the other 6 people, Lu Ming didn't care. Boom. Lu Ming and the strong cultivator of the 6th great supreme god layer collided. That strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan was extremely strong. He had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer and 5 stars of battle strength. 3 months ago he had severely injured Lu Ming. But now his overall combat strength was already inferior to Lu Ming. He was even 1 star lower than Lu Ming. At the instant of the collision, the celestial race man's attack was defeated. The spear light didn't stop and continued to stab toward the celestial race man. With a pu sound, the celestial race man's body was penetrated by the spear light. A large hole was blasted in his body as he frantically retreated. 1 move and he was severely injured. 3 months ago, he had severely injured Lu Ming with a single move. Now Lu Ming had severely injured him with a single move. The situation was completely reversed from before. At the same time the attacks of the other 6 masters also hit Lu Ming. Boom, boom. The more than 200 layers of defense on the surface of Lu Ming's body constantly vibrated and emitted intense rumbling sounds. Following that, layer after layer of defenses were torn apart. In the end, more than 200 layers of defense were destroyed. However, the strength of the 6 masters was almost exhausted. The remaining power bombarded Lu Ming's body, but it only left a few shallow wounds on Lu Ming's body. He was only slightly injured. With the increase in cultivation and the increase in forbidden energy, Lu Ming's ancient secret skills had also become much more powerful. 3 months ago he couldn't defend himself, but now he could defend himself. Die, said Lu Ming indifferently. He continued to attack the strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan who had been injured by him. Hurry up and attack, shouted the strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan. He retreated as fast as he could. He wanted to escape into the crowd and let the others block Lu Ming. Attack. How could the Heaven Destroyer miss such an opportunity? They all attacked the people of the Heavenly Palace. Some of the strongest masters of the Heavenly Palace had attacked Lu Ming. The rest of them were not top masters. Although they still had more people than the Heaven Destroyer, their combat strength was not as good as the Heaven Destroyers. They were forced into a disadvantageous position. In this way they naturally couldn't help the strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan. You can't escape, said Lu Ming coldly. He used the teleportation skill. In a flash, he appeared beside the strong cultivator of the heavenly human clan. He continued to use the Heaven Destroyer style and attacked the strong cultivator. This time the strong cultivator couldn't resist the attack. The spear directly penetrated his head and he died on the spot. The attacks of the other 6 masters hit Lu Ming again. However, just like before, they only caused minor injuries to Lu Ming. Now it's your turn. Lu Ming's cold voice could be heard. His gaze was as cold as a knife as it swept across the other 6 people. When Lu Ming's gaze landed on the 6 of them, their skin seemed to be cut by a knife and their hair stood on end. They couldn't help but retreat. They retreated quickly, but Lu Ming chased after them even faster. Swoosh. He used the Heaven Destroyer style and his body turned into a spear light. It was like the extreme light skill. Slash. A cultivator of the heavenly human clan of the 6th great supreme god layer who only had the battle strength of 4 stars was killed instantly. Those who only had the battle strength of 4 stars couldn't even block one of Lu Ming's attacks. They could only be killed instantly. After killing that man, Lu Ming turned around and attacked another person. He was too fast. Lu Ming combined the extreme light skill and the teleportation skill. Those people couldn't escape at all. Every time the spear light flashed, one of them was killed. After 5 flashes, the remaining people were all killed. Not a single one was left alive. Their interspatial rings were all in Lu Ming's hands. Run. Those who were fighting Heaven Destroyer were scared out of their wits when they saw this. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They ran in all directions crazily. Don't let them escape. Kill them. Kill them. Don't leave a single one alive. At this moment, the people of Heaven Destroyer attacked the people of the Heavenly Palace. The people of the Heavenly Palace didn't want to fight anymore. They just wanted to run away. They were constantly looking at Lu Ming. They were afraid that Lu Ming would attack them. They weren't strong at all. They were constantly being killed by the people of Heaven Destroyer. Lu Ming didn't hold back either. He stepped into the air and attacked the people of the Heavenly Palace. He specifically chose people with strong cultivation because these people were most likely to have alchemy furnaces or desolation pills. He couldn't miss this opportunity. When Lu Ming attacked, the people of the Heavenly Palace were even more one-sided. Lu Ming wouldn't show any mercy to the people of the Heavenly Palace. If these people stayed, they would be on the opposite side in the future. They would also become enemies. It was better to get rid of them as soon as possible. After Lu Ming killed more than 10 people, the others were all killed by the people of Heaven Destroyer. None of them escaped. After all, there were also top masters on the side of Heaven Destroyer. They weren't weaker than the brawny man from the Heavenly Human tribe. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to block the attack of the Heavenly Palace. Aha, this is great. Kill these bastards from the Heavenly Palace. The members of the Sky Exterminating Army laughed heartily. It was rare to have such an opportunity to hunt down the people of the Heavenly Palace. Then many people flew toward Lu Ming. Muyun, thank you for your help this time. Thank you, thank you. Some people cupped their fists and thanked Lu Ming. Fei Yi snorted coldly in his heart and stood to the side without saying anything. When he was defeated by Lu Ming, he was very unhappy. However, at that time he suppressed his cultivation to fight with Lu Ming. In his heart, he always thought that Lu Ming was inferior to him. However, the combat strength that Lu Ming displayed just now was extremely terrifying. Even if he didn't suppress his cultivation, he was no longer a match for Lu Ming. This made him envious and jealous, and he was even more unhappy. Chapter 43:12. Everyone, you're too polite. The Heavenly Palace is our common enemy. Since I bumped into them, I should help them. Lu Ming said with a smile. No matter what, we have to thank you for saving us. Since we've bumped into each other, why don't we move together? That way we can collect desolate pills faster. Suggested a strong man at that moment. That strong man seemed to be in his 30s. He had the blood of the primitive divine spirit and was extremely strong. He had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer and was one of the strongest members of the Heaven Destroyers group. A moment ago, he had transformed into the primitive divine spirit and roared, which Lu Ming had heard. Let's move together? Lu Ming's gaze flickered and he seemed to be tempted. If they were in other places, Lu Ming wouldn't want to move together. Moving alone was freer and easier. Even if they encountered danger, they could come and go as they pleased. But in the 2nd layer of the Taishang Immortal City, it was different. Here, even if they had a cauldron, they needed someone to guard it at all times. They had to activate the cauldron from time to time so that the cauldron could keep working and condense desolate pills. If Lu Ming carried the cauldron with him all the time, he wouldn't be able to get anything. But he could cooperate with others. For example, if he cooperated with the Heaven Destroyers group, Lu Ming could take out the cauldron and ask them to guard it and help him refine desolate pills. The desolate pills could be divided equally between them. That way both sides would benefit from it. It was killing two birds with one stone. Therefore, Lu Ming was quite tempted to cooperate with the other party. I don't agree to go with him. At that moment, a discordant voice sounded. Everyone looked at the source of the voice. It was Fei Yi. Fei Yi looked at Lu Ming coldly and said, "We can't go with him. Don't forget that the entire Heavenly Palace is hunting him down. If we kill him, we'll be crowned as the Heavenly Palace's son or daughter of Heavenly Palace. Under such conditions, the entire Heavenly Palace will go crazy. He will be killed by the people of the Heavenly Palace sooner or later. Since he is working with us, we will be implicated by him and bear the same risks as him." As soon as he said that, the faces of Heaven Destroyer's people changed. This was indeed the case. They were also active in this area and naturally knew that during this period of time, people from the Heavenly Palace were frantically searching for Lu Ming. They wanted to kill Lu Ming and obtain great merits. If they were to act together with Lu Ming, they would also be in danger. Some of them were grateful for Lu Ming's help, but compared to their own lives, they naturally valued their own lives more than their gratitude to Lu Ming. Therefore for a moment no one spoke. Even the big man with the original God Spirit blood pulse looked glum. He did not speak. Hee. Lu Ming chuckled. Was this how these people repaid him for saving their lives? Hearing Lu Ming's laughter, some people's faces turned red with shame. However, Fei Yi's heart was filled with pride. He did not want to act together with Lu Ming. Then, how about this? After all, Mu Yun saved us once. If it were not for Mu Yun, we would have been killed by the Heavenly Palace. Therefore, I suggest that we give some of the elixir furnaces that we obtained in the elixir field to Mu Yun. What do you think? The big man with the original God Spirit blood pulse said. He was really embarrassed and felt that he had let Lu Ming down. I object. Those elixir furnaces were exchanged with our lives. Why should we give them to him? Fei Yi immediately shouted again. That's right. Those elixir furnaces are where our opportunities lie. They are the foundation of our lives. When we become stronger and obtain more opportunities, we will need those elixir furnaces. I don't agree with giving them to him either. Another person also shouted. This person had a good relationship with Fei Yi, so he was naturally on Fei Yi's side. Everyone, the elixir furnaces are the most important. Whether we can obtain more opportunities in the future depends on these elixir furnaces. This is related to all of our futures. If anyone is willing to give them to him, then give him your share. Fei Yi shouted. Many people looked at each other. Originally, some of them were in favor of giving Lu Ming a few elixir furnaces to repay him. Now, however, they hesitated. The big man with the original God Spirit blood pulse was also hesitating. Everyone else was against it. If he agreed alone, he would not be able to mingle in the future. He would be ostracized by others. He showed a troubled expression. No need. I have plenty of elixir furnaces. You can keep them. Also, I prefer to act alone. Let's go our separate ways. Lu Ming said coldly. He then turned around and walked away. After taking a few steps, Lu Ming stopped again. He turned around and looked at Fei Yi. I hope you don't have anything to ask of me in the future. After that, Lu Ming did not stay. His body flashed and disappeared from where he was. Something to ask of him? That's ridiculous. This kid can't even protect himself. Although he has some combat power, there are many elites in the Heavenly Palace. Any one of them could kill him. He can't even protect himself. He could be killed at any time. We will have something to ask of him in the future. Aha! Fei Yi sneered. He was very pleased to have chased away Lu Ming. Fei Yi, don't cross the line. The big man with the original God Spirit blood pulse scolded him. Fei Yi curled his lips and did not care. Lu Ming continued to fly toward the core area. However, after flying for a while, Lu Ming suddenly came to a halt. Who is it? Who is following me sneakily? Come out. Lu Ming shouted coldly. His eyes were like lightning as he scanned behind him. He had been feeling that someone was following him. Ever since he left with Fei Yi and the others, he had this feeling. During this period he had used the greater teleportation technique several times, but he could not get rid of this feeling. The person who was following him was definitely not ordinary. An ordinary person would definitely not be able to follow him. Brother Mu, no, it should be Brother Lu. You are indeed extraordinary. I knew I couldn't hide. A chuckle was heard and then a figure appeared. It was a young man in a long robe. He was very elegant and handsome. He always had a smile on his face. You are Yiling. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He recognized this person. This young man was not from the Heavenly Palace. He was from the Heaven Destroyer. Lu Ming had memorized this person's life origin aura. Previously, this was the person who had been following him secretly. As soon as I left Fei Yi and the others, you followed me secretly. What is your purpose? Lu Ming went straight to the point. Of course, I want to cooperate with Brother Lu. Yiling smiled. Lu Ming's identity was not a big secret in the Heaven Destroyer. Many people knew that Lu Ming was Mu Yun. Obviously Yiling knew that too. Cooperate with me? Now the Heavenly Palace is hunting me down everywhere. Aren't you afraid that I'll implicate you? Lu Ming sneered. Chapter 43:13. Afraid of being implicated? What's there to be afraid of? Yiling smiled faintly and continued, moreover, I'm not as short-sighted as Fei Yi and the others. As far as I know, every forbidden body is a heaven-defying existence. They have endless luck and can always turn misfortune into blessings. When they encounter heaven-defying opportunities, even the people around them will benefit from it. Although cooperating with you will be dangerous, it will also be accompanied by greater opportunities. You're very far-sighted, but why should I cooperate with you? Lu Ming asked. Now you're not very strong and you need help. My current combat strength is above yours, so I can help you. If we cooperate, we can complement each other and benefit each other. Yiling said, looking very confident. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. Yiling's strength was absolutely astonishing. Lu Ming did not doubt this. He could vaguely sense that this person's cultivation was at the 6th Emperor God realm. However, his combat strength could not be measured by cultivation because this person was the top genius of the Heaven Destroyer. Fei Yi was not worth mentioning in front of him. This person's combat strength was definitely above Lu Ming's. Now that they were cooperating, it was indeed beneficial for Lu Ming. I agree to cooperate. Lu Ming thought for a while and nodded in agreement. Yiling was a genius of the Heaven Destroyer. They belonged to the same camp, so he should not be disadvantageous to him. As Yiling said, their cooperation was a win-win situation. Ah, great. Yiling laughed. You've been following me since I left Fei Yi and the others. So, you've been nearby for a long time? Lu Ming asked again. If this person had been there for a long time, why didn't he save Fei Yi and the others? Don't think too much. At that time I had just arrived. When I arrived, the Heavenly Palace had already been defeated by you. There was no need for me to do anything. Naturally, I didn't do anything. Instead, I hid in the dark and observed. Yiling explained. Lu Ming nodded. If this person had arrived long ago but did not make a move, Lu Ming would have doubted this person's character. Brother Lu, judging from the direction you're heading towards the adversity overcoming sea before entering the core area, right? Yiling said. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded. Do you have a tribulation crossing airship? Yiling asked. No. Lu Ming shook his head. How are we going to cross the Sea of Calamity without a calamity crossing airship? Yiling glared at him. Well, let's try our luck. Lu Ming smiled awkwardly. Trying my luck? Yiling's eyes widened even more. He looked at Lu Ming as if he had seen something amazing. After a long time he finally said, that's the way a forbidden body does things. Lu Ming was speechless. You have a tribulation crossing airship? Lu Ming asked after a moment of silence. No, but I know a place that does. I was just thinking of going with you. Yiling said. What place? Lu Ming's interest was piqued. An immortal abode is about to appear. Now, a large number of people are rushing over. Usually, when an immortal abode appears, there will be parts of a tribulation crossing airship inside. If you and I work together, we might be able to get something. Yiling said. Immortal abode. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and a glimmer of light flashed past. In the Grand Supreme Immortal City, other than the Elixir Field, there were also some Immortal Abode and Immortal Abode. The Immortal Abode and Immortal Abode were of a higher level than the Elixir Field. They were also rarer and rarely appeared. However, there would be greater opportunities in the Immortal Abode and Immortal Abode. In the Immortal Abode and Immortal Abode, there were not only elixir furnaces but also some other treasures. For example, the parts of the Tribulation Crossing airship were one of them. The appearance of the Immortal Abode will probably attract many experts. With just the two of us, can we snatch the parts of the Tribulation Crossing airship from the Heavenly Palace experts? Lu Ming whispered. Don't worry. As far as I know, many of the strongest people in the Heavenly Palace have already entered the core area. Those who haven't entered the core area are generally not too strong. If we're careful, we might be able to deal with them. Yiling said. Then let's do it. Lu Ming made his decision. That immortal abode is now covered by a formation. No one has entered yet. Let's go. Yi Ling said and immediately led the way in a certain direction. Lu Ming followed closely behind. Along the way they did not meet anyone from the heavenly palace. A few hours later they arrived at a desert. According to Yi Ling, the location of the immortal abode was in the desert. That is, after moving forward for a while, Lu Ming's eyes widened and looked ahead. In front of them there was a dazzling light that illuminated the sky. From afar they could see a huge immortal abode looming in the desert. We're here. The two of them perked up and continued moving forward. The full appearance of the immortal abode appeared before their eyes. The immortal abode was like a huge fortress standing in the desert. The front door was facing Lu Ming and the others. There were many people outside the immortal abode. At a glance there were at least 1,000 people. So many elites. Lu Ming looked around and saw many members of the heavenly human tribe. Some were in the prime of their lives and some were young. Of course, most of them were from other tribes. There were also those in the prime of their lives and those in the prime of their lives. Among them, a few young people caught Lu Ming's attention. Prodigies on the universe prodigy list. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There were only 100 prodigies on the universe prodigy list. They were famous in the primitive universe and were more famous than many almighty. Their information and portraits were on the list. Lu Ming had studied them before, so he could recognize them at a glance. At this moment, there were a few peerless prodigies on the universe prodigy list in the crowd. These people had outstanding temperaments. Standing in the crowd, they were like cranes in a flock of chickens. Even the heavenly human tribe could not overshadow their brilliance. However, they are all at the bottom of the universe prodigy list. Interesting. Lu Ming whispered, a hint of battle intent in his eyes. Gabbert was only ranked 98th on the universe prodigy list. He was considered the gatekeeper of the universe prodigy list. These prodigies were all ranked above Gabbert. Lu Ming wondered how strong they were. He was very curious. Is there anyone here who can recognize you? Yi Ling asked Lu Ming. It's hard to say, Lu Ming said. He was a little uncertain. He had stayed in the heavenly palace for a long time. Those who had seen him would definitely recognize him from his life origin aura. There were so many people here. He was not sure if anyone had seen him before. In addition, the celestial armor that Lu Ming had worn was taken back by the great beings of the heavenly palace. The celestial armor was also stained with Lu Ming's aura. If someone remembered the aura on the celestial armor, they would be able to recognize him. Therefore, in the heavenly palace, how many people could recognize Lu Ming from his life origin aura? Lu Ming himself was not sure. We can only try our luck. I'm not a descendant of the primitive divine spirit, and I don't cultivate the primitive divine body. My aura is no different from any other race in the universe. These people can't recognize me as a member of the Heaven Destroyer. Come, let's go. If you are recognized, we will retreat first, Yi Ling said. Then the two of them stepped forward and headed toward the immortal mansion. Chapter 43:14. The two of them walked toward the immortal abode. Many people looked at Lu Ming and Yi Ling in unison. Lu Ming's expression was calm as usual. However, he spread out his spiritual senses to observe any changes. If anyone recognized him, he would leave immediately. There were too many experts here. With so many people attacking together, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to stop them. It would be the same even if Yi Ling was there. However, to Lu Ming's delight, these people merely glanced at Lu Ming and Yi Ling before turning their gazes away. There was nothing unusual about them. No one recognized me. Lu Ming was delighted. Even the heavenly human tribe members did not recognize Lu Ming. Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that although the heavenly soldier armor had his aura, the upper echelons of the heavenly palace did not let all the heavenly human tribe members come into contact with his aura. This was even better. No one recognized him. He could blend in with the crowd and fish in troubled waters to obtain the parts of the crossing adversity flying ship. Lu Ming and Yi Ling stood aside and watched quietly. At this moment, a group of people surrounded the immortal abode to study it. That was because there was a layer of energy around the immortal abode that prevented them from entering. This is the power of the array. We have to break this layer of energy before we can enter. The immortal abode has actually appeared. It's just that we're blocked by the power of the array. Someone came to a conclusion after observing. Array? Can we break it? Someone asked. It's difficult because this array is from the last era. The principle of operation is completely different from the current array. Even if we want to break it, we'll need some time. A person who was proficient in array answered. Then break it quickly. A heavenly human tribe member said coldly. He used a commanding tone and his tone was full of arrogance. The others' faces darkened slightly. They were very unhappy. However, the other party was from the heavenly human tribe. They did not dare to talk back to him. They could only suppress their anger and observe silently to find a way to break the array. This wait lasted for 7 days. There's a way. Suddenly, a burly man who looked to be in his 30s said. Everyone recognized him. He was from the World Turtle tribe. Among those present, he was the most proficient in array formations. Is there a way to break the formation? Really? Everyone's eyes lit up with anticipation. No. The World Turtle Master shook his head. No, you said you had a solution. Were you trying to fool us? Someone said unhappily. Let me finish. The World Turtle said leisurely, I can't break this formation, but I have a way to open a passage for people to enter. However, it can only last for 10 breaths of time. After 10 breaths of time, the passage will immediately disappear and the formation will be reactivated. What? Only 10 breaths of time? Then if we go in, wouldn't we be unable to come out? A heavenly human expert frowned. Clearly he was somewhat displeased with this outcome. That won't be the case. I've done my research and this formation only blocks those who enter. It shouldn't have any effect on those who come out. The muscular man of the World Turtle said. Everyone was slightly relieved. That was good. As long as he went in, he wouldn't have to worry about coming out. However, they immediately thought of a problem. There were only 10 breaths of time. With so many people present, how could they make it in time? Perhaps only a portion of them could enter. However, everyone wanted to go in. How should they distribute it? Many people's gazes turned cold as they looked around warily. Obviously, there would definitely be a battle later. Everyone wanted to go in, and a great battle would inevitably break out. Open the passage. The heavenly human tribe must go in. Who wants to compete with us? A young heavenly human said coldly. His golden hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were full of arrogance. The people of the other races avoided this person's gaze, but their expressions became even more solemn. Yes, the heavenly human tribe must go in. No one dared to compete with them. There were about 30 heavenly human tribe members present. These heavenly human tribe members would definitely spend some time entering the passage, leaving even less time for the others. The competition would also be even more intense. Then I'll start to break the formation. The muscular man of the World Turtle Master said. Then he discussed with a few other people who were proficient in formations. Then he took out some miscellaneous materials and began to break the formation. The others watched nervously. They poured their divine power into their bodies, ready to attack at any time. The moment the passage was opened, they would rush into the immortal mansion as soon as possible. Time passed slowly. A few hours later. Open for me. The muscular man of the World Turtle Master shouted. His hands quickly formed seals and complex and mysterious runes flew out and sank into the ground. Buzz. The surrounding ground trembled slightly, and rays of dazzling light appeared. A gap appeared in the formation protecting the immortal mansion. The gap wasn't very big. At most, it could accommodate 10 people at the same time. Let's go in. A heavenly human tribe prodigy shouted and rushed into the passage first. The other heavenly human tribe members followed. More than 30 heavenly human tribe members turned into rays of light and rushed into the passage. No one dared to compete with the heavenly human tribe. Swoosh, swoosh. The heavenly human tribe was very fast. In about 2 breaths, more than 30 people rushed into the passage and entered the formation. They used 2 breaths. There were 8 breaths left. Charge. I must enter the immortal mansion. Pill furnace, adversity crossing flying boat. Many people roared in their hearts. Greed flashed in their eyes as they rushed into the passage. More than 1,000 people rushed into a small passage together. It was too crowded. It was impossible to enter at once. Many people even bumped into each other, which naturally led to a big battle. Get lost, don't hinder me. You're the one who's hindering me. You're the one who should get lost. You're courting death. Go to hell. Near the passage, all kinds of attacks burst out and a big chaotic battle broke out. Immediately, someone was killed and his head flew far away. When someone attacked, it immediately involved others. In an instant, the entire area erupted into a big chaotic battle. Everyone wanted to rush forward and rush into the passage, but there were people in front of them. What should they do? They could only rush in if they killed the other party. When the big battle broke out, some people's performance was very conspicuous. For example, the prodigies on the universe prodigy list were rampaging. No one could defeat them. Wherever they passed, those who blocked in front of them were all killed. Of course, the strongest were not only the prodigies on the universe prodigy list. There were also a few adults who were extremely powerful. These adults had cultivated for a long time, and their cultivation levels were high. They also spent a lot of time on various origin secret techniques and physique secret techniques, so their power in all aspects was very shocking. These powerful beings kept rushing forward, approaching the entrance of the passage. Chapter 43:15. Lu Ming and Yi Ling's speed was also very fast. Lu Ming's figure was like a phantom. He flashed through the crowd, dodging one attack after another as he approached the entrance of the passageway at an extremely fast speed. Some people wanted to attack Lu Ming, but as soon as they attacked, they realized that they had lost track of Lu Ming. As for Yi Ling, his movement technique was also very mysterious. It was not inferior to Lu Ming's. He did not need to attack as he dodged the attacks of others and approached the entrance of the passageway. When Lu Ming approached the entrance of the passageway, 3 breaths of time had passed. In addition to the 2 breaths used by the heavenly human tribe, 5 breaths of time had passed. There were only 5 breaths left. At this time, after the heavenly human tribe, more than 50 people rushed into the passageway. Just as Lu Ming was about to rush into the passageway, a terrifying force attacked him from behind. This force gave Lu Ming a sense of danger. Without thinking, Lu Ming turned around and punched out. A resplendent fist energy collided with a blood-red sword light, resulting in an intense explosion. Terrifying shockwaves blasted out in all directions, and the surrounding people bore the brunt of the shockwaves and were hit by the shockwaves. Several consecutive screams were heard. In an instant, 7 or 8 people with weaker combat strength were directly penetrated by these forces and died on the spot. Some of the stronger ones were also injured. They coughed up blood and retreated with fear in their eyes. "It's you, Xueji," Lu Ming shouted coldly. The one who attacked him was a handsome young man in a red robe. He had red hair and an evil look in his eyes. Lu Ming knew this person. His name was Xueji. He was an exceptional genius on the universe prodigy list from the Blood tribe, one of the top 10 tribes. This person was ranked 89th on the universe prodigy list, stronger than Gabbard. "You can actually block one of my attacks. Not bad. I'll take your life." A ferocious smile appeared on Xueji's face as he condensed a blood sword in his hand. The blood sword trembled and turned into hundreds of sword lights that shot towards Lu Ming. The sword light whistled. It was incomparably sharp and terrifyingly powerful. Xueji had also broken through to the 5th Great Supreme God layer, but his fighting abilities had already surpassed Gabbard's. Lu Ming guessed that he had the strength of the 7th star already. He was indeed a peerless genius on the universe prodigy list. His battle power was astonishing. However, this person was still no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming condensed a long spear in his hand. With a shake of the spear, millions of spear lights burst forth, blocking Xueji's sword light. Afterwards, Lu Ming glanced at Xueji indifferently. He did not continue to attack. Instead, with a flash, he charged into the gap in the formation. "This brat deserves to die." Xueji's continuous attacks had actually been unable to do anything to Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as his figure flashed, and he also charged into the gap in the formation. At the same time, Yi Ling and Lu Ming charged into the gap in the formation at almost the same time. As soon as they charged through the gap in the formation, they arrived at a courtyard. This was a courtyard in front of the immortal mansion. There were many plants planted in this courtyard. However, these plants had all withered. There were no leaves, only twisted and withered branches. "Those branches are moving?" Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed that those withered branches were moving again. Upon closer inspection, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This was because he realized that there were centipedes living on these branches. The black centipedes were like small swords. These were black sword centipedes. Lu Ming had seen them in a purple elixir field before. Swish, swish, swish. At that moment, those black sword centipedes moved. They charged towards Lu Ming and the others, making sharp sounds as they tore through the air like tiny sharp swords. Poof! Immediately someone was hit. His body was pierced by the black sword centipedes, and he screamed as he retreated. Then, more black sword centipedes charged towards that person, wanting to kill him in one fell swoop. "Get lost." That person roared, took out a weapon from the Grand Supreme Immortal City and slashed out. Clang, clang, clang. The weapon from the Grand Supreme Immortal City slashed the black sword centipedes, making the sound of metal clashing and sparks flying. More than 10 black sword centipedes were sent flying, but they were not cut in half. These black sword centipedes continued to charge towards that person. They were very fast and they could even turn in the air. There were too many of them. That person was already injured and could not resist at all. After barely blocking a few attacks, the black sword centipedes pierced his glabella and he died on the spot. At that moment, almost everyone who entered the Immortal Mansion was attacked by the black sword centipedes. Lu Ming did not hesitate and took out a battle saber. This was the Grand Supreme Immortal City's battle saber, and it was extremely sharp. With a flick of his wrist, the battle saber broke through the air and split into dozens of saber lights in the air, slashing towards those black sword centipedes. Clang, clang. As sparks flew, more than 10 black sword centipedes were sent flying, but they were not cut in half. They're so hard, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. These black sword centipedes were not cut in half. He remembered that those black sword centipedes were easily cut in half when he was in the purple-grade elixir field. But now they were not cut in half. The strength of these black sword centipedes was much stronger than those in the purple-grade elixir field. After these black sword centipedes were sent flying, they twisted their bodies and charged towards Lu Ming again. I don't believe that I can't kill you. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold, and the 60 trillion cells in his body trembled. Traces of forbidden energy gushed out from each of his cells, gathering into a vast sea of energy that rushed into Lu Ming's arm and turned into a terrifying power. Whoosh! Lu Ming slashed out with his battle saber again. Lu Ming had only used 20% of his strength in the previous move. Because he had encountered the black sword centipedes before, he thought that 20% of his strength would be enough. There would definitely be a fierce battle in the Immortal Mansion, so he wanted to save as much strength as possible. However, the strength of the black sword centipedes here exceeded his expectations, so he could only use 50% of his strength. This time, when the battle saber slashed more than 10 black sword centipedes, they were easily cut in half and fell to the ground, no longer showing any signs of life. Xueji also rushed in after Lu Ming. He originally wanted to continue to deal with Lu Ming, but because he was surrounded by a large group of black sword centipedes, he could only block the black sword centipedes. Lu Ming's combat strength was considered top-notch among those present. Although he could kill the black sword centipedes, it did not mean that others could. In fact, many people were in danger at this moment. Some of the weaker ones had already fallen to the ground, no longer showing any signs of life. Even those with higher cultivation base and battle prowess were injured. Behind them there were still people rushing in. Finally, 10 breaths were up. From start to finish, nearly 200 people had rushed in. However, more than 30 people had already died at the hands of the black sword centipedes. The gate of the Immortal Mansion was still tightly shut. Chapter 43:16. The gates of the Immortal Abode were tightly shut, and there were countless black sword centipedes attacking them. What should they do? Should they retreat? Many people were unwilling to do so. They had just entered and now they had to retreat. They had gained nothing, and they had not even entered the gates of the Immortal Abode. However, if they did not retreat, they would be killed by the black sword centipedes. What should they do? At that moment there were screams. Someone had died at the hands of the black sword centipedes. Moreover, after being killed by the black sword centipedes, the black sword centipedes would crawl into the bodies of the victims and gnaw on their flesh and blood essence. It was truly tragic. Damn it. Retreat, retreat. Let's go. More than a dozen people finally broke down and rushed outside with a roar. Just as the muscular man from the World Turtle Clan said, there were no obstacles when they retreated. They easily left the range of the formation and returned outside. Outside the formation they could also see what was happening inside. At that moment, many people outside the formation were pale and broke out in cold sweat. They were secretly glad that they did not go in just now. In particular, those with weaker combat strength were even more afraid. If they had gone in just now, they might have been the ones dying at the hands of the black sword centipedes. Sure enough, opportunities were not so easy to obtain, especially in this kind of immortal abode. It was full of danger. Click. At that moment, the gates of the Immortal Abode made a clicking sound and opened. Yes, the gates of the Immortal Abode opened automatically. Lu Ming and the others were slightly stunned, then looked pleasantly surprised. The gates of the Immortal Abode are open. Ah, I'm so lucky. I wanted to retreat just now. Me too. Fortunately, I held on for a while longer. Charge. Instantly, figures sent the black sword centipedes flying and then rushed toward the gates of the immortal abode. Lu Ming and Yi Ling did the same. They attacked continuously, sending the black sword centipedes around them flying, then rushed toward the gates of the immortal abode. The few people at the front had already rushed through the gates. Once they rushed through the gates, the black sword centipedes stopped and did not continue to pursue. Instead, they turned around and attacked the others. Outside the formation, the dozen people who had just retreated were dumbfounded. Then their faces turned red and they almost vomited blood. What was going on? They had just retreated when the gates of the immortal abode opened. They were extremely regretful. If they could hold on a little longer, they would be able to rush into the immortal mansion. Once they entered the immortal mansion, they might be able to obtain a great opportunity. Their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds and change their destiny. As long as they thought that a great opportunity might have just slipped away from their hands, they were so angry that their hearts, livers, lungs and kidneys hurt. Lu Ming and Yi Ling were very fast. In less than 2 breaths they had also rushed through the door. As soon as they rushed through the gate, the black sword centipede stopped chasing them. Behind the door was a large hall. In front of the hall there were 9 large doors. Behind the doors was a pitch-black passageway. At this moment, no one made a move because they didn't know which door to take. They also didn't know which door was safe and which door was dangerous. They were all waiting for others to test it out. Swish, swish. Behind him, more and more people rushed in. The others had already entered. Die, brat. As soon as Xueji rushed into the hall, he stared at Lu Ming. He had a pair of blood-red bat wings on his back. With a flap of his wings, he charged at Lu Ming like a flash of lightning. This time he didn't condense a blood sword to attack. Instead he used his sharp claws to grab Lu Ming. His claws were extremely sharp and surrounded by a blood-red light. When he waved his hand, it was filled with a thick smell of blood. Umph. Lu Ming humphed coldly. He wasn't afraid at all. He raised his fist to meet the attack. The 2 figures collided. Their fists and claws collided. In an instant they had exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no clear winner. Xueji's cultivation was at the peak of the 5th Emperor Supreme God layer. His battle strength had reached 7 stars. He was stronger than Gabbert. However, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the 4th Emperor Supreme God layer. If he used his full strength, his battle strength would completely crush Xueji. However, Lu Ming didn't use his full strength. He only used his battle strength of 10 stars to fight Xueji to a draw. The bird that sticks out gets shot. If he showed too much strength now, he would definitely attract other people's attention. If there were any treasures later on, it would be difficult to compete for them. Therefore, Lu Ming kept a low profile. He only managed to fight Xueji to a draw. In Lu Ming's eyes he was already keeping a low profile. However, in the eyes of the others, it was simply astonishing. What a terrifying battle strength. Who is that young man? He's only at the 4th Emperor Supreme God layer. How can he fight Xueji to a draw? Xueji has the battle strength of 7 stars. He's always been able to defeat people who are at a higher level than him. Now, someone with a lower cultivation level is fighting Xueji to a draw. How terrifying. He has the battle strength of 10 stars? Many people gasped and looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. In the Great Supreme God layer, there was no limit to the 9th level of the Godly Emperor layer. Moreover, with the Great Supreme God layer as the foundation, it was easier to comprehend original divine power and original secret techniques. However, in the Great Supreme God layer, there were very few people who had the battle strength of 10 stars. It was extremely rare. Who was that young man? Especially the peerless geniuses on the Universe Genius list. Their eyes were even more solemn. A battle strength of 10 stars was too terrifying. It would be a great enemy for them. In the Taishang Immortal City, the battle strength of the stars was the foundation. Cultivation level was secondary. This was because in the Taishang Immortal City, as long as one had the Desolation Pill, one's cultivation level would increase by leaps and bounds. If one's cultivation level was temporarily weak, as long as one had enough Desolation Pills, they would quickly catch up. Given Lu Ming's battle strength, once his cultivation level caught up, it would be extremely terrifying. Many people's eyes flashed as they looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent. Bang bang bang, Lu Ming and Xueji had already exchanged more than 100 blows, but there was no clear winner. With a violent explosion, the 2 of them retreated at the same time and stood facing each other. Damn it! Xueji roared in his heart as he looked at Lu Ming coldly. However, deep in his cold eyes, there was a strong sense of shock. Lu Ming's battle strength was really beyond his expectations. Just now he had already pushed his battle strength to the extreme, but he still couldn't take down Lu Ming. He was dealing with someone who was one level lower than him, and he still couldn't take him down. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation in his life. This was the second time. "Who are you?" Xueji shouted coldly. He didn't believe that Lu Ming was a nobody. He was most likely some peerless genius in disguise. A few of the most terrifying geniuses quickly appeared in his mind, but they didn't match Lu Ming. Their cultivation level didn't match. The most terrifying geniuses he knew had cultivation levels higher than the 4th level of the Emperor's Supreme God realm. Lu Ming sneered and didn't reply. The others' gazes finally moved away from Lu Ming. Because at this moment, there were already people rushing towards the 9 doors. Some people couldn't hold back anymore. Whoosh! 2 figures walked together and rushed into a large door without causing any abnormalities. Chapter 43:17. It's fine. Many people's eyes flickered. The 2 of them rushed into a door without causing any abnormalities. Were they lucky enough to rush into a safe door, or were all 9 doors safe? Many thoughts popped up in everyone's minds. Swoosh, swoosh. Someone rushed towards the safe door, entered it, and disappeared. "Let's go there too." A heavenly human paragon said coldly as he led a group of heavenly human tribesmen and rushed towards the door. They were not sure about the other 8 doors, but at least this door was safe. Naturally they would choose this door. This made the others' hearts sink and their expressions turn ugly. Some people wanted to rush into this door but stopped at this moment. If they walked through the same door as the heavenly human tribesmen, even if there were treasures, they would definitely not get a share. Not to mention treasures, they might even be used as a shield when they encountered danger. No one wanted to walk with the heavenly human tribesmen. "Let's try the other doors." Finally, someone walked towards the other doors ready to test it out. Unexpectedly, after they walked through the door, they did not encounter any danger or abnormalities. "It's fine?" Could it be that these 9 doors are not dangerous and we're overthinking? It's possible that these are just 9 ordinary doors. Many people discussed secretly. Many people became bolder after seeing that 2 doors were fine. Immediately, someone walked towards another door that no one had walked through before. It was still fine and there were no abnormalities. It seemed to be just an ordinary door. This time, even more people became bolder. "Let's go. Let's go too." People continued to move towards the other doors. Almost every door had people walking through it, but in the end, nothing happened. Lu Ming and Yi Ling looked at each other and then nodded. Their figures flashed and they rushed towards the door on the far left. The 2 of them rushed through that door. Xueji looked at Lu Ming's figure as he left. His eyes flickered a few times, but in the end he did not choose the same path as Lu Ming. Instead he walked towards another door. Behind the door was a dark and deep passageway. Some people were running in the tunnel. At first they were not very fast as they were on guard against their surroundings. However, they did not encounter any abnormalities. Gradually they became bolder and ran faster and faster. After running for a few hundred miles, a light appeared in front of them. The passageway came to an end. That is, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He discovered that there was a huge platform at the end of the passage. On the platform, there were lines that intertwined to form a huge 8 trigrams diagram. On top of these 8 trigrams, there were some pill furnaces. There were a total of 12 pill furnaces. 1 big and 11 small. The big ones were about 3 meters in diameter, while the small ones were about 1 meter in diameter. Many people's eyes lit up. Unexpectedly, not long after entering the immortal abode, he saw 12 pill furnaces. This was comparable to a purple pill field. Swish, swish. There were more than a dozen people in the tunnel, all of whom were bursting with power as they charged toward the platform and the 12 pill furnaces. Lu Ming and Yi Ling moved as well. The 2 of them headed straight for the alchemy furnace that was about 3 meters in diameter. 1 alchemy furnace with a diameter of 3 meters was comparable to 10 alchemy furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter. Therefore, Lu Ming and Yi Ling were not the only ones who had their eyes on the big furnace. There were a few others as well. Get lost. One of them was a big man with a bald head. He was surrounded by Buddhist light and looked like a golden arhat. He was very aggressive. He waved his hand and a few golden palms flew toward Lu Ming and the others. He was a pure Buddhist with a cultivation of the 6th great supreme god layer. He was very strong. The golden palm pressed out. It was extremely terrifying. Even Lu Ming felt a little pressured. Boom. Lu Ming threw a punch and collided with the golden palms. He blocked the golden palms. Yi Ling also struck out with his palm, blocking the golden palm print as well. However, there were two other people who also dashed toward the 3-meter furnace. Those two people were not as strong as Lu Ming and Yi Ling. The two of them shouted and tried their best to block the attack. However, when the golden palms pressed down on them, their attacks were destroyed. The palms pressed on their bodies and they shrieked in agony. Their bones were broken and they coughed up blood. They were blown away and on the verge of death. 4 stars fighting strength. The big man from the Buddhist clan had 4 stars fighting strength. He had the cultivation of the 6th great supreme god layer. His fighting strength was not weaker than Shueji's. Little boy, if you want to compete with me, you won't be able to get the alchemy furnace from me, said the big man from the Buddhist clan with a cold smile. Although that was what he said, he looked at Lu Ming and Yi Ling with a grave expression. A moment ago, Lu Ming and Yi Ling had easily blocked his attack, so he was not confident. Is that so? Let's see how strong you are. Lu Ming smiled and dashed toward the alchemy furnace. The big man from the Buddhist clan also dashed toward the alchemy furnace. Whoosh whoosh. At that moment, a strong wind blew in the sky above them. There was a strong sound of something breaking through the air. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Without thinking, he threw a punch upward. A blade light slashed down at Lu Ming and collided with Lu Ming's fist. There was a loud roar and the saber gleam was blocked. Lu Ming saw a tall figure retreating backward. However, after the figure retreated, there were other figures who continued to charge at Lu Ming. There were a few of them. Their blade lights were cold and they aimed at Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming's body flashed and he quickly retreated, avoiding the blade lights. Are they puppets? At that moment, Lu Ming finally saw the faces of these figures. The ones who attacked them were in human form. They were more than 2 meters tall and they held battle blades. However, they were not made of flesh and blood. They seemed to be made of metal, but they were not from the metal clan. Their eyes were cold and merciless. Lu Ming could tell that this should be a type of puppet. At that moment, there were at least 100 puppets on the platform. They looked exactly the same. Each of them was burly and powerful. Some of them had already been killed. Whoosh, whoosh. These puppets moved freely. With a slash of their blade lights, a 3rd-layer Emperor God expert was cut in half and died on the spot. In the blink of an eye, only Lu Ming, Yi Ling, and the big man from the Buddhist clan were left on the platform. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, more than 100 puppets charged at Lu Ming and the other two. More than 100 blade lights enveloped them. Each blade light was very powerful. Die! Shouted the big man from the Buddhist clan. His body emitted a dazzling light. A huge Buddha appeared behind him. This huge Buddha had hundreds of arms. The hundreds of arms attacked the puppets. Chapter 43:18. Hundreds of golden palm prints collided with the swords of dozens of puppets, causing a violent explosion. However, these puppets were too strong. When the swords slashed down, the golden palm prints shook violently and then collapsed. The swords continued to slash towards the burly man from the Buddha tribe. The burly man from the Buddha tribe was shocked. He retreated quickly and kept flashing, trying to avoid the swords. However, he was one step too slow and could not avoid them completely. He was hit by a few of the swords, which broke through his protective Buddhist light and left several wounds on his body. At the same time, Lu Ming and Yi Ling were also fighting with these puppets. Yi Ling finally displayed his powerful strength. His body turned into a phantom and moved among the puppets. As he moved, he continuously slapped out with his palms. Every time he slapped out, a puppet would be sent flying. In an instant, dozens of puppets were sent flying. Lu Ming had also unleashed his full strength, activating the battle incantation to increase his combat strength by 7 times. He was just short of using the sky-splitting form. He continuously threw out dozens of punches and clashed with the dozens of puppets. After a series of booming sounds, Lu Ming felt waves of extremely violent energy surging toward him. His body could not help but retreat violently. Of course, during this period he also hit the puppets with his fist and sent them flying. However, they were only sent flying. These puppets were completely fine. Use the weapon of the Taishang Immortal City. Yi Ling reminded from the side. A battle sword appeared in his hand. It was the weapon that he had obtained from the Taishang Immortal City. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The battle sword turned into streaks of swords and slashed at the puppets. Sure enough, the puppets were directly cleaved apart, chopped into 2 halves. The weapon of the Taishang Immortal City could indeed break these puppets. A battle sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Swoosh. Lu Ming became one with his sword and slashed at the head of a puppet. Sizzle sizzle, the battle sword slashed at the puppet and a piercing sound was heard. In the end, the puppet's head was split open and the puppet collapsed to the ground. However, there was no joy on Lu Ming's face. Splitting the puppet apart was much more difficult than he had imagined. Earlier he had already encountered a huge obstacle, and it was extremely strenuous. Yiling looked relaxed. This could only mean that he was too strong. Whoosh, whoosh. After splitting apart a puppet, Lu Ming continued to attack, his battle blades slashing out continuously. A few more puppets were hacked apart by Lu Ming and scattered on the ground. Although it took a lot of effort, it still couldn't block Lu Ming's attack. However, that burly man from the Buddha race would not have it that easy. He also took out a weapon from the Supreme Immortal City. It was an axe. In the beginning he was still able to kill a few puppets in a row, but gradually his palms became numb and his arms trembled slightly. The recoil from slashing these puppets was too strong. At the same time it consumed too much energy. However, there were over 100 puppets on the platform, and there were still more puppets charging at them. The burly man from the Buddha race roared and fought back with all his might. Soon another 5 or 6 puppets were killed by him. In total, more than 10 puppets had died at his hands. However, at this moment his strength was almost depleted. His arms were sore and blood was seeping out from between his thumb and forefinger. He could barely hold on to the axe. Clang. He clashed with another puppet. This time, his arms trembled violently and he could no longer hold on to the axe. The axe flew out of his hands. At the same time, at least 10 puppets charged at the burly man from the Buddha race. No help. The burly man from the Buddha race revealed a look of despair as he shouted for help. However, would Lu Ming and Yiling save him? Although Lu Ming had no ill feelings towards the Buddha race was on the side of the Heavenly Palace. He didn't have a good impression of them. Furthermore, they were competitors now. Why would Lu Ming save his enemy? More than 10 puppets charged at the burly man from the Buddha race. The burly man from the Buddha race barely managed to block a few blows. However, he was no match for them and was killed mercilessly. After killing the burly man from the Buddha race, the puppets continued to charge at Lu Ming. Kill, kill. Lu Ming shouted as he slashed out with his battle saber. He had a forbidden body. Every cell of his contained power. His power was as vast as the sea and wouldn't be depleted so easily. Soon more than 30 puppets were killed by Lu Ming. They turned into lifeless metal pieces and scattered on the ground. As for the other puppets, they had all been killed by Yiling. It had to be said that Yiling's combat strength was unfathomable. Impressive. Lu Ming exclaimed in admiration. You're even stronger. If we fight at the same level, I'll definitely be killed by you. Yiling said. Then the two of them started to move. In a flash they kept all the elixir furnaces. Finally the two of them walked towards the largest elixir furnace. It didn't matter who took it. It was the same. They were in a cooperative relationship. The treasures they obtained would be divided equally. However, just as the two of them approached the elixir furnace, a strong wind blew from above. 2 sharp forces charged at Lu Ming and Yiling fast. It was too fast. It was so fast that Lu Ming couldn't dodge in time. Lu Ming could only raise his battle saber and block. Clang. There was a loud explosion. Lu Ming felt an extremely powerful force rush towards him along his battle saber. Lu Ming's body couldn't help but retreat. He felt the blood in his body churn. On the other side, Yiling's reaction was extremely fast. He avoided the attack and retreated to Lu Ming's side. Another puppet. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This time it was another puppet that attacked them. However, there was only one of them. The appearance of this puppet was slightly different from the previous ones. This puppet had even more elegant lines, and its appearance resembled that of a human. It also appeared to be of a higher level. In between his eyebrows, there was a red dot that looked like a ruby embedded in it. It was also holding a battle saber in its hand. Die. The puppet bellowed and bent its body slightly. Then it suddenly leaped and charged toward Lu Ming and Yiling. The saber gleam slashed toward Lu Ming and Yiling at an alarming speed. Leave it to me, said Yiling. Before he could finish his sentence, he had already rushed over. As he rushed out, his body emitted a powerful aura. Whoosh. The battle saber in his hand turned into a dazzling sword light and pierced towards the puppet. Its speed was even faster than the saber light of the puppet. So strong. Is this Yiling's real fighting strength? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Yiling's sword was extremely terrifying. If it pierced towards him, Lu Ming felt that he wouldn't be able to block it. Yi Ling's cultivation was at the 6th layer of the Great Supreme God realm. However, his fighting strength was definitely at the 8th star or even higher. As for how high his fighting strength was, Lu Ming didn't know. He didn't know if Yi Ling was using his full strength. Such fighting strength was absolutely terrifying. No wonder he was one of the strongest geniuses on the Heaven Destroyer's side. With a clang, the sword pierced the puppet's chest. Chapter 43:19. Yi Ling's terrifying sword pierced the puppet's chest, emitting a ding sound. Surprisingly, the tip of the sword did not pierce through the puppet's chest. Yi Ling's long sword was bent into an arc, and then the puppet was sent flying. The puppet flew a few hundred meters before coming to a stop. However, there was no wound on its chest. There was only a white spot. How is it so hard? Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. Yi Ling's sword was extremely powerful. Coupled with the sharpness of the Taishang Immortal City's weapon, Lu Ming would have been pierced through even if he had used all his means. However, it had no effect on the puppet's body. That was too shocking. Kill? The puppet roared and charged toward Yi Ling again. Its battle sword pierced through the air and slashed out a few hundred times. Layers of sword shadows enveloped Yi Ling at an astonishing speed. It seemed unavoidable. However, Yi Ling had no intention of dodging. The long sword in his hand trembled and the air was filled with sword sparks. It collided with the sword shadows. Clang, 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 the sound of collisions rang out. After a few hundred collisions, the sword shadows were all blocked and disappeared without a trace. Following that, Yi Ling's body flashed and hundreds of shadows appeared. They surrounded the puppet and launched an attack. Streaks of sword light shot toward the puppet. They either stabbed or slashed. Clang, 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 sparks flew from the puppet's body. In an instant, at least a few hundred streaks of sword light landed on the puppet's body. However, it was useless. It was useless. There was no wound on the puppet's body. It could not be broken at all. On the contrary, Yi Ling was careless and was almost hit by the puppet's sword. In terms of combat strength, Yi Ling's combat strength was completely above the puppet. However, the puppet's defense was too strong. Yi Ling could not break it at all. As such, no matter how strong Yi Ling's combat strength was, he could not do anything to the puppet. Attack the spot between its eyebrows. When you attacked just now, it was defending between its eyebrows, Lu Ming roared. He suspected that the puppet's forehead was its weakness. Yi Ling's eyes lit up. In a flash, he charged towards the puppet and thrust his sword at the puppet's glabella. Whoosh! This time the puppet did not counterattack. Instead, it retreated rapidly and raised its sword to its forehead. With a clang, Yi Ling's sword was blocked. The puppet borrowed this force to retreat rapidly. Swoosh! With a flick of his wrist, Yi Ling unleashed his sword aura. Dozens of sword beams shot towards the puppet's forehead from different directions. However, the puppet did not care about anything else. It only cared about the area between its eyebrows. The battle saber was there, and Yi Ling could not break through its defense. Dozens of moves had been blocked by Zhang Xian. With that, they were even more certain that the puppet's forehead was its weak point. You use all your strength to deflect his saber, I'll attack. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Yi Ling. All right. Yi Ling nodded and gripped his sword with both hands. A vast amount of divine power surged into the sword as he swung it with all his might. It was a simple swing without any fancy moves, but its power was astonishing. Clang. The swing of the sword landed on the puppet's battle saber, causing a loud boom. The puppet's body was sent flying backward. At the same time, its battle saber was also deflected by the powerful force and moved away from its forehead. Now was the time. Lu Ming did not hesitate to use the Grand Aurora technique. In a flash, he appeared in front of the puppet. The battle saber in his hand was aimed at the puppet's forehead. Lu Ming's speed was too fast. In an instant, he appeared in front of the puppet. The puppet's battle saber had just been deflected by Yi Ling. This time it could no longer use its saber to block the attack. With a pop, Lu Ming pierced through the puppet's forehead as if he had pierced a bubble. In the next moment, a powerful aura erupted from the puppet's body. Lu Ming was shocked. Could he have guessed wrongly and the puppet's forehead was not its weak point? Without hesitation, Lu Ming quickly retreated to Yi Ling's side and watched cautiously. At this moment, the puppet was stiff and motionless. However, the aura on its body was extremely violent. At the same time, runes appeared on its body and emitted a dazzling glow. Then a shocking scene appeared. The puppet's body began to twist and transform. Finally, it turned into a strange object. This object looked like an arc, like the corner of a ship. Could this be a part of the crossing adversity airship? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Yiling was also stunned. After a while he said, "This should be a part of the crossing adversity airship. I didn't expect the parts of the crossing adversity airship to exist in such a form. It can turn into a puppet." Yiling was a peerless genius of the Heaven Destroyer. Like Lu Ming, he had also read some information about the Taishang Immortal City. In the information that they had read, it was mentioned that the parts of the crossing adversity airship would exist in various forms. The forms would be different in different immortal abodes. However, it was not mentioned that the parts of the crossing adversity airship would turn into puppets and possess powerful offensive power. So it's a part of the crossing adversity airship. No wonder it's so hard. It seems that only the puppet with the red dot on its forehead is a part of the crossing adversity airship. The others are not. Lu Ming said. "Forget it. Let's keep it first and continue to look for other parts of the crossing adversity airship," Yiling said. Lu Ming nodded and flew up. With a wave of his hand, he kept the part of the crossing adversity airship. After keeping it, Lu Ming raised his head and looked up. Above this platform, there was another platform that was suspended in mid-air. Earlier on, those puppets had come down from this platform. In fact, this was not the only platform that was suspended in mid-air. Looking further away, there were other platforms that were suspended in mid-air. This void was very vast and there were platforms suspended in mid-air everywhere. These platforms were circular and each platform had a diameter of about 100 miles. "Let's go." Lu Ming shouted softly and shot up into the sky with Yiling, rushing toward the platform above. Soon the two of them successfully landed on the platform above. This platform was already empty. There was not a single puppet on it. Above this platform there was another platform. The two of them continued to rush toward the platform above. The geographical position here was already very high and they could overlook other places. Standing there, there were platforms everywhere. At a glance, there were no less than 100 platforms. On these platforms, there were flickering figures everywhere. They were all puppets. Boom, boom, boom. There were booming sounds everywhere. There were battles everywhere. Xueji. Lu Ming's eyes moved and saw the peerless genius on the universe prodigy list, Xueji. Chapter 43:20. At that moment Xueji was in an extremely sorry state. He had transformed into a blood-colored bat and transformed into dozens of blood-colored bats. They flickered continuously in the air, dodging the attacks of the puppets. Xueji's battle power was about the same as that of the Buddha clan man from before. He wasn't a match for these puppets at all. At that moment he was surrounded by dozens of puppets and was in imminent danger. However, he was a peerless genius after all and had many life-saving means. Under the siege of dozens of puppets, he was only seriously injured but not killed. His figure madly rushed outside and escaped from the platform. Then he rushed into a passage and disappeared. It wasn't just this platform. On many other platforms, there were corpses of people who had entered with them. Many people had died, and the remaining people were frantically rushing out of the platform. Obviously, most people weren't a match for these puppets. Those with weaker battle power were killed, while those with stronger battle power fled desperately. Of course, there were also those with astonishing strength. On a few platforms in the distance, Lu Ming saw a few figures wielding weapons from the Taishang Immortal City. Their figures were crisscrossing as they killed the puppets one by one. Two of them were exceptional prodigies on the universe prodigy list. Their battle power was much stronger than Xueji's. Needless to say, their ranking was definitely far above Xueji's. The remaining ones were a few strong men. These strong men had extremely high cultivation levels. At the same time, their battle power was also very strong. Their overall battle power was above Xueji's. Obviously, the 9 doors from before all led to this place. There's a special puppet there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he looked at a platform on the left below. That platform was the platform where Xueji had been previously. There was a special puppet with a red dot between its eyebrows. It was very similar to the puppet formed by the components of the crossing adversity airship. It was very likely that this puppet was formed by the components of the crossing adversity airship. Previously, it was this puppet that had almost killed Xueji. The two of them didn't hesitate. Their figures flashed as they soared into the sky and rushed toward this platform. As the two of them approached, the special puppet's gaze seemed to be directed at Lu Ming and Xueji. Kill? This puppet seemed to have a mind of its own as it let out a low growl. Swish, swish. The ordinary puppets immediately charged at Lu Ming and Luo Yunyang. Layers of blade light enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Yi Ling also rushed forward and engaged in a fierce battle with these puppets. They held the weapons of the Supreme Immortal City, which were incomparably sharp. It was not difficult to deal with these puppets. Yi Ling in particular seemed to be having an easy time. With a flash of his battle armor, a puppet was split in half. Lu Ming was a little more strenuous, but he was still able to bear it. The two of them joined forces and continued to charge forward toward the special puppet. Their target was this special puppet. As for the ordinary puppets, they were completely useless. They would kill as few of them as possible to save some energy. Soon the two of them approached the special puppet. Kill? The special puppet let out a low roar and charged at Lu Ming and the other man with a saber in its hand. The three figures crossed each other like three bolts of lightning. Clang, clang. Lu Ming and Yi Ling's attacks landed on the puppet's body. Clang, clang. Sparks flew in all directions. The two of them took a look and saw that there was no trace left behind. It was the same as before. Their eyes lit up. This puppet was also extremely sturdy. It was the same as the parts of the Crossing Adversity airship. In that case, the possibility of this puppet being a part of the Crossing Adversity airship was very high. Cooperate as before. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Yi Ling. Yi Ling nodded and unleashed a powerful aura. He waved his sword and slashed at the puppet's forehead. The puppet could only block with its saber. However, Yi Ling's strength was so great that the puppet's saber was immediately deflected. Lu Ming had already seized the opportunity to use the Great Aurora technique. His figure flashed and he rushed to the front of the puppet. He stabbed his saber and pierced through the puppet's forehead. After that, Lu Ming retreated quickly. Just like before, a powerful aura erupted from the puppet's body. Runes appeared on its body and its body began to change rapidly. It turned into a strange-looking object. Its shape was different from the previous one. However, it was obvious that it was also a part of the Crossing Adversity airship. This should be the keel, the previous one should be the stern, Yi Ling said. The Crossing Adversity airship was made up of 9 parts: the bow, the body, the stern, the deck, the keel, and the sails. Only when all 9 parts were gathered could a complete Crossing Adversity airship be formed. Only a complete Crossing Adversity airship could cross the Adversity Crossing Sea. It would not work even if it was missing a single part. Yi Ling's figure flashed and he kept the Crossing Adversity airship part. The two of them looked at the other platforms. In fact, there were not many puppets that were transformed from the Crossing Adversity airship. Not every platform had them. The two of them looked around and only saw a few platforms with them. Of course, there were many platforms stacked on top of each other. The number of puppets that were transformed from the Crossing Adversity airship parts was definitely not small. Lu Ming did not fight with the ordinary puppets. He used his movement technique and avoided them. He rushed to the other platforms and focused on killing the special puppets. With the two of them working together, they were successful. Soon, they killed another 3 special puppets and successfully obtained 3 parts. In total, the two of them had obtained 5 parts of the Crossing Adversity airship. Unfortunately, one of the parts was duplicated. They had obtained 2 parts. However, they would keep them first. The parts of the Crossing Adversity airship were so difficult to obtain. They were definitely precious. Perhaps they could use them to exchange for some treasures. Lu Ming and Yi Ling searched the dozens of platforms around them. The two of them headed to the other platforms further away. In the distance, a few pairs of eyes glanced at Lu Ming and Yi Ling. They were the other experts. These people had seen Lu Ming and Yi Ling obtain a few parts of the Crossing Adversity airship with their own eyes. They were envious and moved. However, they were extremely wary. They were mainly wary of Yi Ling. Although Lu Ming was strong and they were confident that they could deal with him, Yi Ling's combat strength made them feel uncertain. In the end, no one dared to make a move. Lu Ming and Yi Ling arrived at the platform further away. As expected, they encountered the special puppets again. The two of them worked together and continued to hunt down the special puppets. After some time, they obtained a total of 12 parts of the Crossing Adversity airship. Unfortunately, only 7 of the 12 parts were different. 5 of them were duplicated. As a result, they could not even form a Crossing Adversity airship. Chapter 43:21. However, there were still many platforms here and they did not search all of them. The two of them continued to rush towards the platforms further away. However, after a while their eyes widened. The situation on the platforms ahead was somewhat beyond their expectations. There were also puppets on these platforms. However, these puppets had all been killed. Their metal bodies were scattered all over the place. At a glance, they were all broken metal puppets. None of them were intact. They had all been hacked apart by a sharp blade. Moreover, there was no trace of a special puppet. Who is so powerful to be able to kill all the puppets on the platforms? Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. It should be the Heavenly Human Tribe. This time, although the Heavenly Human Tribe did not send their top elites, their average strength is very strong. Those burly men from the Heavenly Human Tribe are not weak. If they join forces, it won't be difficult to deal with these puppets. Yiling said. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed, if the Heavenly Human Tribe had a few people with Yiling's combat strength, it would not be too difficult to deal with these puppets. The two of them circled around the platforms in this area but did not see a single intact puppet. Naturally, they did not see any special puppets either. It seems that all the puppets in this area have been killed. Let's go. Lu Ming said, feeling a little regretful. This time, they did not manage to gather a complete crossing adversity airship. It seems that we can only go out and try our luck. See if we can get other parts of the crossing adversity airship from other places. If not, we can only trade with others. Yiling said. Perhaps others would have more of the 2 parts that they lacked. Perhaps others would have less of the 5 extra parts that they had. In this way they could trade. They could even take out the extra parts to trade with others for desolation pills. The two of them went back the way they came and returned to the passageway. Then they retreated outside. This time the two of them had gained a lot. Although they did not manage to gather all the parts of the crossing adversity airship, they had obtained many alchemy furnaces. Of course, not every platform here had alchemy furnaces. In fact, there were very few platforms with alchemy furnaces. Only one platform out of dozens had alchemy furnaces. However, there were many platforms here. Lu Ming and Yiling also gained a lot. He had a total of 6 pill furnaces with a diameter of 3 meters. There were more than 60 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter. The two of them divided it equally, and each of them had more than 30 furnaces, which was more than what Lu Ming had previously accumulated. As long as he could gather the adversity-traversing airship, cross the adversity-traversing ocean, and enter the core area of the one-star palace, he would be able to use his pill furnace to madly refine desolate pills to improve his cultivation. The two of them walked back along the passage, but soon they stopped, because there was someone blocking the way. It was Xueji. It's you? Very good. When Xueji saw Lu Ming and Yiling, he revealed a ferocious killing intent. Xueji, you've been hiding here. Have you recovered? Lu Ming smiled faintly. He was mocking Xueji for being forced to flee in a sorry state by the puppets. Sure enough, the malevolence in Xueji's eyes intensified as he growled, "Brat, you're courting death. Hand over your storage rings now and I'll give you a quick death." With just you? Lu Ming sneered. What if we join in? At this moment, another voice rang out. Behind Xueji, 3 figures flashed and appeared. These people had previously used a concealment array to hide themselves and had only revealed themselves now. Lu Ming understood that these people had already cooperated with Xueji. They had specifically hidden here to rob people. Worryless, Lu Ming whispered. He knew one of the youths. He was also someone on the Universe Prodigy list. He was ranked 80 on the Universe Prodigy list and had extremely strong combat power. The other 2 were 2 burly men. Without a doubt, they were also people with strong combat power. Otherwise, they would not be qualified to cooperate with Worryless and Xueji. Now, are you qualified? Hand over your storage rings. Xueji shouted coldly, and the murderous intent in his eyes intensified. He looked like he was about to attack at any moment. Xueji, you're not qualified. Do you understand? Lu Ming shouted coldly and stepped forward. A powerful aura pressed down on Xueji. Kid, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Xueji roared. His body wriggled and transformed into a blood-red bat. His entire body was shrouded in blood-red light and emitted an unpleasant smell. He charged towards Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming made his move. He activated the battle formula and increased his combat power by 7 times. He threw out a punch. This time Lu Ming did not show mercy. Other than not using the sky-splitting move, he activated 11 stars of combat power. The violent fist collided with Xueji, and there was a loud explosion. Then there was a scream. Xueji's body retreated violently, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. One of his wings had completely exploded. With one move, Xueji was severely injured. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. he shouted, "How is this possible? How is this possible? How can your combat power be so strong?" On the side, Worryless and the two burly men were also shocked. Previously, Lu Ming and Xueji had fought fiercely. Their combat power was about the same. How could Lu Ming's combat power suddenly soar? Previously, I didn't want to reveal too much. Otherwise, with your strength, how could you have exchanged so many moves with me? How naive and ridiculous. Lu Ming sneered. His voice was filled with sarcasm. You, Xueji roared angrily and spat out another mouthful of blood. It turned out that Lu Ming did not use his full strength. To put it bluntly, he was just playing with him. Otherwise he would have been dead. He thought that his combat power was not weaker than Lu Ming's. It turned out that he was a complete joke in front of Lu Ming. This blow was too great. He was a peerless genius on the universe prodigy list. He was usually high and mighty. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Kill. Let's join forces and kill this brat. Tear him into pieces. Xueji roared. Worryless and the two burly men shouted and unleashed a powerful aura. They pushed their combat power to the extreme and charged towards Lu Ming. The combat power of these people was really shocking. They were even slightly stronger than Xueji. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and prepared to use the sky-splitting technique. At this moment Yi Ling spoke. "I'll do it." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Ling's figure flashed and rushed past Lu Ming. The sound of a sword rang through the tunnel and a sword light flashed. Buff, buff, buff. Blood splattered everywhere. Xueji, Worryless, and the other three's bodies suddenly stiffened. The four's eyes were wide open. Their eyes were filled with fear, disbelief, unwillingness, despair, and other emotions. There was a sword wound in between their eyebrows. Blood flowed out continuously. Their life auras were quickly dissipating. Chapter 43-22. Instant kill. Xueji, Wu Yu, and the two burly men had joined forces but were instantly killed by Yi Ling's sword. The four men's foreheads had been pierced by the sword light. Their souls had been annihilated and they were dead. With a plop, the four men's bodies fell to the ground. Two prodigies on the universe prodigy list had been killed just like that, falling on the spot. No one even knew that two peerless prodigies had died just like that. What powerful strength! Lu Ming was once again surprised by Yi Ling's strength. It was unfathomable. Even he would not be able to withstand such combat power. The Heaven Destroyer had been able to fight against the Heavenly Palace for many years. Its strength was definitely incomparable. As one of the strongest prodigies on the Heaven Destroyer's side, Yi Ling's talent should be comparable to some of the top prodigies in the Heavenly Palace. Even if he was not as good as them, he was definitely extraordinary. Thinking of this, Lu Ming was relieved. Moreover, his cultivation was 2 levels lower than Yi Ling's. If he was at the same level as Yi Ling, he was confident that his combat power was above Yi Ling's. The two of them took the storage rings of Xueji and the others, then left in a flash. They quickly returned to the divine abode and rushed outside. When they passed by the courtyard, they were besieged by the black sword centipedes again. However, with their combat power, these black sword centipedes could not do anything to them. They successfully broke through the courtyard and exited the divine abode. Outside the divine abode, there were still many people surrounding it. At this moment, all eyes were on Lu Ming and Yi Ling. Some people's eyes were filled with greed. They had entered the divine abode and exited it. Did they obtain the treasures inside? When they thought that Lu Ming and Yi Ling might have the treasures inside the divine abode, many people's hearts burned with desire. However, no one was stupid. Lu Ming and Yi Ling could safely exit the divine abode. Their combat power was definitely not ordinary. Moreover, some people had seen Lu Ming and Xueji exchange a few blows before entering the divine abode. There was no clear winner or loser. This level of combat power was not something they could deal with. Only death awaited them if they went against Lu Ming. However, not everyone dared to make a move. At that moment, a few figures flashed over and surrounded Lu Ming and Yi Ling. They were all in the prime of their lives and their auras were vigorous and powerful. Although these people had not been able to enter the immortal abode previously, it did not mean that their combat strength was weak. Their combat strength was actually very strong. Otherwise, they would not have dared to charge at Lu Ming and Yi Ling. The reason why they didn't rush into the immortal mansion before was because they were unlucky. Moreover, they only had a total of 10 breaths of time, so they didn't make it. They were very confident in their own combat strength. Both of you hand over your storage rings. One of the muscular men shouted coldly. Lu Ming and Yi Ling were speechless. Another wave of robbers? Previously it was Xueji and now it was these people? Was it because they looked like they were easy to bully or were these people blind? Very good, Yi Ling said. What's very good? A muscular man asked. If you take the initiative to give your treasures to us, that would be great, Yi Ling said calmly. Immediately, a cold murderous intent burst out from the muscular men's eyes. From their point of view, Yi Ling's words were just a prank. You're courting death. Let's send them on their way first. The muscular men shouted coldly. Their murderous intent was as sharp as a knife, and they were about to attack. Lu Ming shook his head and observed a moment of silence for these people. These few burly men were undoubtedly very powerful. Lu Ming might not be fully confident if he were to go against them. Unfortunately, they were up against Yi Ling. In that case, the outcome was already decided. Swoosh! A dazzling sword light burst out and disappeared in a flash. The muscular men followed in the footsteps of Xueji and the others. The sword light pierced through the space between their eyebrows and destroyed their souls. They died on the spot. The surrounding people gasped and looked at Yi Ling in horror. Those burly men had previously displayed their terrifying strength. However, they were instantly killed by Yi Ling. Fortunately, they did not attack just now. Otherwise they would have died miserably. With a wave of his hand, he collected the storage rings of the muscular men. Then the two of them left the place and flew into the distance. After flying for a long distance, the two of them found a secluded place and stopped. Then they took out the storage rings on their hands and counted them. Xueji and the others naturally had many elixir furnaces. Lu Ming and Yi Ling split them equally. In addition to the elixir furnaces obtained from the immortal abode, the two of them each had close to 50 elixir furnaces. Lu Ming had about 80 elixir furnaces in addition to the 30 from before. This was a huge gain. If he activated all of them, the speed of refining desolation pills would be very fast. After the two of them split up, they continued to set off in the direction of the adversity-avoiding sea. 2 days later, the sky in front of them darkened and turned pitch black. On the ground in front of them was an endless black fog. This black fog not only covered the ground but also the sky, separating the entire world. The adversity-avoiding sea. This black fog was the adversity-avoiding sea. It separated the periphery of the Star Palace from the core. The adversity-avoiding sea was very dangerous. Without the adversity-avoiding airship, it would be difficult to cross it. Look, the departure point is in front. Yi Ling pointed ahead. Lu Ming also saw that in front of them, near the adversity-avoiding sea, there was a building that looked like a city. Lu Ming had seen the information. This was the departure point. It was not that easy to take the adversity-avoiding sea on the adversity-avoiding sea. There were some conditions. One of the conditions was that the adversity-avoiding airship could only be activated in a specific place. It was not as if one could activate the adversity-avoiding airship at any time just by gathering the 9 components. Only at a specific place in the departure point would the adversity-surpassing airship be activated and cross the adversity-surpassing ocean after absorbing the special energy. The building in front of them was the departure point. If one wanted to cross the adversity-avoiding sea, they had to depart from here. Therefore, anyone who wanted to enter the core area had to come here and depart from here. From afar, one could see figures flashing in the city. When they arrived, Yi Ling also changed his appearance. He was afraid that he would be recognized by the people from the heavenly palace. Then the two of them flew towards the city. Lu Ming could only bite the bullet and fly into the city. Even though there were many people from the heavenly palace in the city and the chances of them recognizing him were very high, he had no choice but to enter the city. He could only take a gamble and hope that no one recognized Lu Ming. Fortunately, the two of them entered the city through the city gate. They met many people on the way but no one recognized Lu Ming. Soon the two of them arrived at a remote part of the city. There were many buildings in the city. Many of the buildings were empty. The two of them found an empty building to stay in. Lu Ming, you stay here first. I'll go out and check out the situation, Yi Ling said. Lu Ming's target was too big. He would be easily recognized if he went out. Once he was recognized, it would be more troublesome and detrimental to their future plans. Chapter 43-23. Their plan was to use the spare parts of the crossing adversity airship to exchange for what they needed. If Lu Ming was discovered, they would be lucky if they could stay alive. They could forget about exchanging for the parts of the crossing adversity airship. All right. Lu Ming nodded. After Yi Ling left, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. He took out the desolation pills and started refining them. During this period of time, although he had not concocted great desolation pills, he had obtained quite a number of great desolation pills from others. For example, Xueji and the others had obtained about 100,000 desolation pills. After splitting them with Yi Ling, Lu Ming had about 50,000 desolation pills. Although he would need at least 1,200,000 desolation pills to break through to the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God realm, it was still a long way off. However, after refining them, his cultivation level would increase a little. He could not waste any time in the Taishang Immortal City. He opened his mouth and sucked in tens of thousands of desolation pills. Then he started refining them. The speed at which Lu Ming refined the desolation pills was very fast. 50,000 desolation pills were refined within a few hours. Lu Ming's cultivation level had improved a little and his realm had become more stable. Of course, there was still a long way to go before he reached the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God realm. After refining the desolation pills, Lu Ming continued to comprehend the ordinary secret techniques. He condensed the secret technique runes and merged them into his cells. Of course, they were all beginners. If he wanted to cultivate them to greater success, it would take too much time. He would have to find an opportunity in the future. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. At this time Yi Ling came back. "What's the news?" Lu Ming asked after he finished cultivating. "There's news. In 3 days there will be a secret trade fair here. I've already gotten a spot. Let's go together. We might be able to get the missing parts of the Crossing Adversity airship. The extra parts might be able to exchange for a large amount of desolation pills," Yi Ling said. Lu Ming frowned slightly. This was indeed good news, but wouldn't he be recognized by the people of the Heavenly Palace if he went with them? As if he had guessed Lu Ming's thoughts, Yi Ling said, "Don't worry. This time, there won't be anyone from the Heavenly Palace participating. There won't be anyone from the Celestial Tribe, and there won't be any core disciples from the Heavenly Palace either. They'll all be from other tribes. Those big clans are also on guard against the Heavenly Human Tribe. After all, the Heavenly Human Tribe is too domineering. If the Heavenly Human Tribe participates in this trade fair, there will be no fairness. Maybe they will buy the treasures at a low price or directly rob them," Yi Ling said. Lu Ming suddenly realized that this was indeed the case. It seemed that the trade fair this time was held behind the Heavenly Human Tribe's back. There were very few people from other races who had seen Lu Ming. Perhaps they knew his appearance, but not many could recognize his life origin aura. With that, Lu Ming was relieved. "All right, let's go together in 2 days." Lu Ming nodded. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. The two of them set off and headed toward the east of the city. There were fewer buildings and even fewer people in the east of the city. Relatively speaking, it was more remote. Soon the two of them arrived in front of a building. There were 2 people guarding the outside of the building. The Metal Tribe. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 2 burly men guarding the building were from the Metal Tribe, one of the top 10 tribes. "Both of you, there are already people living here. Please look for another place," one of the burly men from the Metal Tribe said. Yi Ling did not say anything. He took out 2 pieces of silver metal with strange patterns engraved on them. The 2 burly men from the Metal Tribe looked at each other. One of them said, "Both of you, please come in." With that, they stepped aside. The 2 of them walked in. There was a large hall inside. In the middle of the hall was a cave. When they walked in, it turned out to be a slanted staircase that extended all the way to the bottom. The 2 of them walked down the staircase. After making several turns, they finally reached the end. It turned out that there was a basement below. There were some chairs in the basement. At this time there were already many people. Lu Ming glanced over and found that there were already more than 20 people. The Demon Tribe, the Buddha Tribe, the Blood Tribe, and the Metal Tribe. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He glanced over and found the 4 major tribes in the top 10 tribes. There were young people and strong men, but there was no doubt that they were all strong. The 4 major tribes were divided into 4 areas and sat together. There were also some people sitting on the other chairs. These people were scattered, alone, or in groups of 2 or 3. These people only glanced at Lu Ming and Yi Ling casually and did not pay much attention to them. Lu Ming and Yi Ling walked to the 2 chairs at the side and sat down. Next, people kept coming. The Battle Sank Tribe, the Soul Tribe, the 9 Great Plant Royal Tribes, and the Spirit Tribe, Lu Ming thought to himself. These tribes were all among the top 10 tribes. Among them, it was Lu Ming's first time seeing the 9 Great Plant Royal Tribes and the Spirit Tribe. In the Eldritch universe there were many plant life forms. There were all kinds of plant life forms. Not all plant life forms could be called the top 10 tribes. Only the 9 great plant royal tribes, could form an alliance and be considered one of the top 10 tribes. There was also the spirit tribe. The spirit tribe was very special. They evolved from the spirits of heaven and earth. For example, the spirits of the 5 elements such as the fire spirit, water spirit, metal spirit, wood spirit, and metal spirit. In addition, there were also the wind spirit, ice spirit, lightning spirit, light spirit, dark spirit, and so on. These spirits evolved from the spirits of heaven and earth and took human form. They were all called the spirit tribe. The spirit tribe was very few in number, but their strength was very terrifying. Every spirit tribe member had a special skill and was very powerful. Among the top 10 tribes, the spirit tribe had the least number of people. However, they could be ranked among the top 10 tribes. This showed how powerful they were. The demon tribe, the Buddha tribe, the metal tribe, the blood tribe, the battle saint tribe, the soul tribe, the 9 great plant royal tribes, the spirit tribe, 8 of the top 10 tribes are here. Only the angel tribe and the quasi-immortal tribe are not here yet. Lu Ming murmured in his heart. The quasi-immortal tribe was an extremely powerful and mysterious tribe. They were known as the strongest tribe under the celestial tribe in the primitive universe. The quasi-immortal tribe did not have many people, only a little more than the spirit tribe. They had always been very low-key, but no one doubted their strength. Some people said that even the celestial tribe had to give some face to the quasi-immortal tribe. Lu Ming had never seen the quasi-immortal tribe before. Even when he was a heavenly soldier, he had never seen anyone from the quasi-immortal tribe. This was because the quasi-immortal tribe would not go to the heavenly palace. Okay, everyone is here. At this time, a burly man stepped forward and came to the center of the basement. His footsteps made thumping sounds. This was a burly man from the metal tribe. His aura was as strong as a mountain. Everyone is here? There's no one from the angel tribe. It seems that the angel tribe is excluded. Very good. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The angel tribe had a deep relationship with the celestial tribe. Informing the angel tribe was equivalent to informing the celestial tribe. Therefore, it was normal to exclude the angel tribe. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.